The story begins with a memory from 8 months earlier, when 16-year-old Makoto Sakura is told he is expelled from school, but he simply smiles calmly and laughs as if it's all a joke. Other students watch in shock, unable to believe their eyes, thinking it must be a ridiculous prank or a misunderstanding. Rumors about Makoto's expulsion spread instantly among the students. He walks past, indifferent to the gossip. People say he beat a classmate and was expelled just 2 weeks after enrolling. Makoto tried to stop the bullying, but got pulled into a fight, and although he was the only one hurt, he was blamed because the attacker was the student council president's son. Lost in thought, Makoto hears someone call to him in the schoolyard, and the person who comes up is none other than the council head's son. Brazenly stepping forward, the boy taunts Makoto about his exile, kicks him hard without letting him speak, and immediately hurls insults. Makoto falls to the ground and a drink is poured over him, while the attacker mocks him for trying to be a hero. Soaked and injured, the boy only sighs, too weak to reply. Bruised Makoto returns home, and when he tells his parents about his exile, his father responds with disappointment, feeling both embarrassed and angry. The father angrily asks why the son caused trouble while both parents are busy. The mother, without paying attention, reaches for her phone to call the school. Neither of them cares about what the son went through. Exhausted and abandoned, Makoto goes downstairs. In his heart, he has already decided to leave home, despite everything. His father tries to stop him, saying nothing is decided yet. Makoto doesn't turn and quietly ignores him. Closing the door behind him, the boy feels entirely to blame and cannot free himself from the unfair burden. Alone and downcast, he climbs a hill overlooking the city and looks thoughtfully into the distance. A deep sigh breaks the silence. The adult world, with its absurd rules, pointless limits, and stifling ties, makes everything feel too complicated. From a hilltop, Makoto dreams of a life with more freedom and happiness. Then he notices something strange. Giant, previously unknown structures have appeared in the city. He notices the ground barely trembling, and identical buildings have appeared across the city at once, which he did not expect to see. A powerful jolt makes him grab the railing to avoid falling. The trembling is much stronger this time and terrifies him to his core. Stunned, Makoto steps closer to one of the strange structures and studies its massive silhouette with wonder and caution. He stands in front of the building and realizes it is like all the others. Looking closer, he notices stairs leading down into the dark. Surprised and wary, Makoto starts to think about whether he can explore what this mysterious structure is hiding. Beside him, another boy watches everything with suspicion, staring tensely at the strange structure and not understanding what it is or where this could lead. One guy scrolls social media and sees similar structures have appeared not only in Amore but around the world. Users post photos of strange creatures coming out of them, and a hooded figure with a skull instead of a face stands out most. Adrenaline surging, Makoto sprints to the entrance. These structures are already called dungeons. Wanting freedom and a new purpose in life, he steps inside without hesitation. A move that will change his fate forever. Powerful earthquakes begin striking worldwide as underground caverns appear, their cause still unknown, and panic spreads across the world. News reports say people who entered those structures were attacked by creatures. Some died, and the danger proved far more real than it first seemed. The government has issued an official warning to stay away from areas where sinkholes have appeared. An investigation is underway and evacuation plans have been activated. Makoto carefully descends the dungeon's long stairs. His heart pounds, pupils wide, and a sense of adventure quickens his breathing. At the bottom, a huge cave opens up lined with menacing stalactites, the air mysterious and magical, and the boy is thrilled and says how incredible it all is. Deep in the cave, Makoto suddenly hears a voice in his head. The voice says the Shitiki Mayan level system has been activated. Makoto, confused, asks what that means. A voice explains that saying status open will show his information, skills, and items, just like in a real game. Curious, the boy tries it. As soon as he says the command, a glowing panel appears before him like a game interface. Joy fades into disappointment. All his stats are embarrassingly low, and as Makoto winces, a voice starts to explain the basics. A voice explains HP, MP, and skills. Makoto tries to tune it out, saying he already knows everything, but the voice keeps lecturing. The voice suddenly reveals an important detail. When he levels up, he will gain either a random new skill or an upgrade to an existing one. His fire magic is level 1 and has the rare trait Infinite Improvement. The system voice is truly impressed by that trait. Meanwhile, a level 1 slime appears before Makoto, the perfect opponent for his first attempt. The system explains that his limitless ability lets him surpass any limits of evolution. Makoto is thrilled, and it all really feels like a dream game. While trying to approach the slime, he suddenly trips and falls, landing hard. The system says to activate the skill, you must point your hand and say its name. Makoto steels himself and follows the instructions. Using first-level fire magic for the first time, he fires at the slime and the flame hits squarely. A creature bursts into flames and the boy watches the spectacle with awe. After the victory, he receives a level-up notification. Impressed, he stands up because it was wildly exciting. A system voice announces the introductory lesson has ended and wishes him luck. Curious, Makoto asks its name. It replies that he can call it anything. Makoto chooses Exile-chan and thinks it's a great name. Just as the introductory lesson ends, something strange appears before Makoto, who stops and watches the misty figure, trying to work out what it means. A giant creature emerges from the darkness, a true minotaur, and the system immediately displays a hint. The recommended level for the fight is 20. Makoto forces a crooked smile. Sweat trickles down his forehead, and a hysterical laugh slips out as he realizes this opponent is completely out of his depth. The Minotaur's powerful strike knocks him off his feet and throws him to the ground, and the boy groans in pain as he tries to get up and steady himself. Falling, he still shouts the skill's name to activate fire magic. Despite his wounds, Makoto refuses to give up and launches a counterattack. The spell failed. Lying on the ground, he opens his status and sees his MP is 0. That explains why his magic didn't work. As the Minotaur draws near, Makoto recalls learning a new skill when he leveled up. Armed with a new sword, he prepares for the fight, gritting his teeth. Confident, the young man charges in, but instead of a direct clash, he suddenly runs away. He has a different plan. The Minotaur bellows that Makoto is dead, but Makoto is already charging the slime, plotting something clever and aiming precisely. He finally finds what he's been looking for. Smiling, he gets ready to put the plan into action. His gaze is full of confidence. Without hesitation, he cuts down the slime, his sword striking true as the boy moves quickly and decisively. After confirming his victory, he says to himself in surprise that it really worked. The system immediately reports his level rose by 3. Now he is level 5. Makoto breaks into a sweat, stunned. His rapid evolution proved stronger than he expected. He gains a new skill, 1000x experience. Now every defeated monster is a leap forward. Reinvigorated and strong, he clenches his fist and is ready to face far more dangerous foes, while the Minotaur remains nearby and prepares to attack. The next day, his parents panic because Makoto is gone. The house fills with worry. Mother rushes into the room. Her face is pale, and she has clearly learned something important. She says she got a message from her son an hour ago. The surprised father asks where he is. She is about to say what Makoto wrote. Horrified, the parents realize their son is now in the dungeon. At that same moment, Makoto faces the Minotaur again. Everything has changed. Determination blazes in his eyes. He is already at level 15 and charges forward without fear or a trace of doubt. Exhausted and breathing hard, he had already spent half the day in the dungeon. Makoto learns a lot, about monsters, about himself, and about the path opening before him. Makoto discovers a strange feature. Even if the dungeon's walls or floor are destroyed, everything eventually restores itself. This place lives by its own rules. Also, the monsters he beat come back. After a while, they show up in the same places. An extraordinary opportunity opens for him because he can train and evolve endlessly by using this cycle to his advantage. Makoto keeps testing the dungeon mechanics. Approaching the stairs, he notices the Minotaur has stopped chasing him. Wanting to take a break and write to his mother, Makoto finds the connection is poor. Even the items in the interface look messy. Despite the danger, he stays calm and analyzes everything carefully, confirming a new rule that monsters cannot leave the dungeon. Makoto uses this to his advantage, steps out of the zone, and finally takes a short break. His plan worked. When he returns, The situation changes suddenly, as an attack catches him off guard and throws him against a wall. Even after the break, the fight is only beginning. The boy is cornered again. A new monster appears with 0 mana, critical health, hunger, and total exhaustion. Its attacks do nothing and its level does not rise. It does not understand how it ended up in such despair. Suddenly, something unexpected happens. The monsters he had defeated return. Hope lights his eyes. A chance to change everything appears, and he attacks decisively with a slight smile. With a 1,000-fold experience boost and a wave of revived monsters, Makoto methodically wipes out enemies. His level quickly rises to 25 and beyond. Now he is truly strong. After defeating a powerful enemy, he feels a real breakthrough. His level jumps straight to 43, and amazed by his ability's potential, he realizes a new incredible path has opened for him. Dirty, dusty, and out of breath, Makoto smiles with wonder. After everything he has been through, this dangerous dungeon has become a symbol of true freedom for him. 2 weeks later, a helicopter flies over the modern metropolis. Below, a crowd of protesters has gathered with a clear demand. People hold signs and chant slogans, demanding that portals to the dungeons be opened to everyone who wants access. At a UN meeting, delegates from different countries are debating whether to open access to the portals, and the discussion is gaining momentum. One of the leaders stands up and announces that the level system and items from the dungeons are unknown to modern science, calls this the start of a new technological revolution, and urges opening the doors. An opposing voice speaks up and doubts the research was thorough enough, saying there is no convincing reason yet to open the portals. The opponent points out that modern weapons and communications do not work in the dungeons, and this is a place where traditional science is powerless. An advocate of change says the world does not need armies but high-level people, and urges forgetting old paradigms and acting in a new way. In conclusion, he says every citizen, regardless of region, has the right to explore underground sites and proposes that the state buy any items found as the most effective way forward. The man insists that people should be warned about danger, but the final decision is up to each person. In his view, the reward system works well, and this right should not be taken away from anyone who wants it. The narrator says that despite the risks, the dungeons offer dreams, money, fame, and freedom. So those who go there should be given a neutral name that recognizes their choice and motivation without pomp or contempt. The hero faces a new enemy, a giant, formidable opponent who seems more dangerous than anything he has seen so far. Determination fills his gaze, and he accepts the title without hesitation, as it embodies all he went through in this dungeon, including pain, struggle, hard-won strength, and freedom. 8 months have passed. December. A new dungeon with a recommended level of 40 opened in Ionomori province. The action moves to the 5th dungeon level, which is now the present time. A band of adventurers fights a fearsome minotaur far angrier than any before. Tension fills the air, but one of them calmly says, "We've got this under control." The monster is so unusual the system could not assign a recommended level, and the Kudo siblings are filled with despair as an unknown level minotaur stands before them. Aya and Yui beg the hero to run, but he chooses to stay to hold back the enemy and give the others a chance to escape, taking full responsibility. Realizing the danger, he says firmly that if everyone runs at once, they will die. I urge them not to attack, but the hero moves forward, full of courage, shouting, "Do not underestimate me." He thrusts his sword into the Minotaur's chest, but the attack is not strong enough, and the blow does not have the desired effect. The monster strikes back and throws the hero to the ground. He lies mangled and exhausted. I shout, urging everyone to run. The situation feels hopeless. The hero looks up, and the shot suddenly shifts to the real world, where a phone ad invites new players to join because this dangerous reality needs more people. The hero silently says goodbye to Ya and Yui and apologizes for dragging them into this dangerous, absurd situation. Guilt eats at him, and he admits he was selfish for making his friends follow him without thinking about their safety. Now fully determined, he wants them to remember this moment and will go all the way, facing the Minotaur alone, without fear or regret. Alone with the monster, the hero apologizes to everyone with real remorse, his calm gaze showing he accepts his fate. And then something goes wrong. The space around warps as a vortex pulls in the hero, the Minotaur, and another mysterious figure, sucking everything into the center of the flash. The hero appears suddenly and hits the Minotaur hard in the chest. A spiraling wave rises from the blow. The Minotaur roars while the hero stands stunned, unable to believe his eyes. With a final strike, the hero kills the Minotaur. Aya, Yui, and the hero stand stunned, unable to believe what just happened. The hero approaches with a slight smile and asks if everyone is safe. Saying he heard screams, he ran to help at once, as if on a casual walk. One blow and the Minotaur falls. The others stand stunned, thanking the hero and praising the swift victory that saved everyone. Impressed, they ask about his current level and want to know how he achieved such an incredible result. Grinning, the hero starts counting and even remembers he just beat a serious enemy, which adds intrigue. Smiling calmly, he finally says his level is 10,000. His calm makes the statement feel even more absurd. Those present are deeply moved. The number feels unreal. The name appears on the screen. Sakura Mako. Beside it is a sign saying Levain 1000. The company is linked to an extraordinary level far beyond anything they've seen. Shock ripples through the room. Such a number is hard to grasp, and everyone stares at the screen in disbelief. Makoto officially confirms that his level is Levain 1000, leaving everyone stunned and at a loss for words. Their check confirms that he reached that staggering number, and with the ability to gain 1,000 times more experience and an infinite level, he surpassed all limits of evolution. Makoto excitedly brags about his level 1000, but the hero warns him seriously. That information is dangerous and should not be revealed. If not only the Japanese government but other countries find out, they could use or control him. His freedom is at risk, and the hero explains this gently and kindly. This line is an error, 10-lean line, is likely corrupted text or system noise, so skip it without losing meaning. The hero admits Makoto is not a bad person. He is their savior, and thanks to him, they are all alive. Embarrassed, Makoto promises to be more careful from now on and not put himself at risk. Aya appears suddenly, worried and smiling, and asks if he heard everything. She admires his strength and thinks he is likely aiming for something serious, like an important dungeon with a big challenge. Makoto shrugs, not understanding why everyone is so surprised. His flat tone only makes them more confused. Aya explains that the government has announced a nationwide challenge. Whoever defeats the dungeon boss, Red Shadow, in Okinawa will receive 30 million. Makoto's eyes widen at the staggering amount. On hearing about the reward, he instantly lights up, his eyes shining as he repeats several times what a great challenge it is, and his interest soars. Learning that a dangerous dungeon exists and offers a cash reward only deepens his interest, and others watch his childlike joy with surprise. Thanking them for the information, Makoto says he must leave immediately, and when he says he will arrive on Monday if he leaves today, Yui asks again in surprise. It's still Saturday, and she suddenly realizes Makoto has been in the dungeon for a whole week, which embarrasses him. He admits he hasn't left the basement since running away from home, and that it would be very awkward if the story got out. Makoto says goodbye, thanks again for the information, and declines the lunch invitation, saying everything is already settled so he doesn't need anything. Racing down the dungeon corridor, he leaves a surprised group behind as his silhouette fades into the distance. As the others watch him leave, the hero apologizes to the girls for the panic he caused earlier. The hero admits he no longer has the strength to protect the group as before, says he is too old, and begins to consider retreat. Aya cuts him off sharply and reminds him he reignited the team's fighting spirit. Small mistakes don't matter. What matters is something else. She declares that from this moment they will be the strongest, together as an unbreakable team that can handle anything. Moved by those words, the hero clenches his fists and believes in himself again. Resolutely, he declares they will try. Everyone responds with enthusiasm, makes promises, and jokes, creating a warm, united atmosphere. The scene ends with hope and unity against the snow, a symbol of a new beginning. Meanwhile, Makoto arrives in snowy Okinawa, surprised by the winter cold, looks over the snow-covered city and comments on the weather. He thought about the 8 months since the dungeons appeared. In that time, many systems and services aimed at players were created. Makoto arrives at the Aomori branch of the Dungeon Center. The center is open 24/7, letting players buy and sell items at any time. Makoto steps inside and takes in the lively activity. He starts laying out countless items on the dungeon center counter. There are so many it hardly seems possible. The employee froze in shock. It was hard to believe so many items were coming from such a small bag. She was literally stunned. She points out that the item's volume doesn't match the backpack size, and this defies common sense, leaving her visibly surprised. Makoto looks puzzled, calmly asks if there is a problem, and explains that his backpack is a magical bag taken as a trophy from a monster called Adamantite. A co-worker is stunned and immediately imagines a giant turtle. She assumes Makoto must have beaten an incredibly powerful monster. Makoto only replies awkwardly with not realizing how big her reaction is. Makoto keeps walking through the dungeon hub as players start coming up to him. Some want to form a party, others ask him to appraise items or check their levels. Makoto notices something unusual, a dungeon in the middle of the mall, and it takes him by surprise. The clerk explains it was the other way around. The store was built around the dungeon, and only now Makoto realizes he hadn't noticed before. She notes that the dungeon here is low rank, but the boss remains undefeated despite many attempts by players. Noticing Makoto's interest, she tries to encourage him, but he shifts the subject to ask how long it takes to assess items, and on hearing 10 minutes he decides to try it via RTA, surprising her with his determination. Nearby, two adventurers discuss rumors of a rank U dungeon. It seemed scary but not impressive. They are sure the boss was defeated long ago. Meanwhile, Makoto is already descending to the 5th level. Deep underground in the dim dungeon known as the Fogged Prison, Makoto decides to explore the boss chamber alone. He senses the boss's presence. The air grows thick and cold, and the atmosphere presses down like before a storm. Carefully scanning the surface, he finally spots the creature's silhouette and focuses, getting ready for the encounter. The Slime King is a monster of unknown level. Makoto immediately realizes he is facing a true dungeon boss, and focuses to prepare for battle. The Slime King spots the enemy and immediately tries to flee. Makoto smiles, says okay, and chases after him. Jumping between dungeon structures, he keeps the slime in sight as the chase begins. Makoto is stunned that the slime, despite its low rank, is faster than him. Even at level 10,000, he can barely keep up. Realizing speed won't fix this, he decides to use a special ability to take control of the situation. Activating level 10. Ice Magic. Makoto instantly freezes the entire floor, including the Slime King himself. A burst of cold sweeps the area, paralyzing the enemy, who cannot react before being completely encased in ice. Makoto delivers the final blow, striking the monster's frozen core. The attack is fatal. The boss explodes in an icy storm, leaving only ice shards and a rare trophy. The player's level instantly rises by 9,900. Satisfied, he heads back to the shop. Makoto freezes when he opens the status. What appears on the screen makes his eyes widen with surprise. His level reached 1,900. The reward for his victory was much bigger than he expected. The Slime King was a low-ranking boss, but his rare elusiveness made the reward absurdly large. It was more than a victory. It was a breakthrough. Makoto decides to test his new skill, Flying Cloud Magic, level 1. Curious about what it can do, he activates it immediately. As soon as the ability activates, Makoto begins to rise into the air. Amazed and excited, he realizes he is actually flying. The skill works flawlessly on the first try, but at the first level it only lets the character hover slightly and not rise high. Disappointed, he abandons the idea of flying to Okinawa alone and goes back to the original plan to take a regular flight. 2 days later, Makoto arrives in Okinawa Prefecture, where a new challenge already awaits him. A large commotion fills the entrance to the H-rank dungeon, Red Shadow. He watches the crowd and the grand building, surprised. Nearby, he hears desperate talk from adventurers. Someone complains they haven't been able to get in for 2 days straight. Others are scared of the monster at the entrance and say the 30 million reward is not given lightly. While most hesitate, Makoto heads confidently toward the entrance. One of the adventurers stops him, curious about his calm demeanor. A veteran adventurer warns that even at level 66, he barely got out alive and urges Makoto to retreat, thinking the boy is after big money. Makoto listens quietly, not revealing his true abilities. Calm and collected, he does not react to others' doubts. A helicopter suddenly approaches. Makoto watches it calmly, keeping his easygoing air. The helicopter lands beside the dungeon entrance. Makoto is amazed. It is the first time he has seen such a machine so close. A striking figure steps out. An elegant, determined young woman arrives with 3 agents in suits. Her expression makes it clear something serious is coming. In a commanding tone, the girl shouts to Makoto, ordering him to clear a path for her immediately. Taken aback and a little unsure, he stands frozen, noting that this is the first time he has seen a real lady up close. Makoto tries to ease the tension by joking that she is just a kid too, since they are the same age, but it is not very convincing. The girl instantly brightens and proudly gives her name, Maria Fangold, then adds with dignity that she is not a child. Makoto notices from the corner of his eye that the man who had been standing nearby has slipped away silently, and his departure looks suspicious. Maria says confidently that her level is 99, so this dungeon is nothing to her, and Makoto and the others are impressed but also uneasy. She still looks too small. Makoto blurts it out and immediately gets an annoyed look. Maria snaps. "She's 12. Makoto replies casually, 12 is still young. Makoto points out that at 12 she is still a child. Maria immediately gets irritated and accuses him of rudeness. Her pride is hurt. When he tries to explain, her bodyguard steps in and solemnly declares that under Uday's Russian family code, Maria is considered an adult at 12, and Maria demands respect, underscoring it with utmost seriousness. Makoto stands silently, embarrassed. Meanwhile, Maria decides to enter the dungeon alone, ordering the guard and the others to wait outside. It feels strange to him that even at level 99 entering alone is risky, but he holds back his doubts and just apologizes. The guard studies his reaction closely, sizing the young man up. A subtle suspicion shows in his eyes. Makoto steps into the red-shadowed dungeon and is stunned by the sight. Everything is unusually well organized for an H rank, and the defeated monster's body lies nearby. A scream echoes from deep inside the corridor. Makoto reacts immediately and rushes toward the sound. He looks around tensely, unable to believe his eyes, and sees Maria. The same girl with level 99 races forward, screaming in terror. A giant monster, a furious boar, chases her. In a panic, she cries for help. Makoto is puzzled. It's hard to believe this is the same arrogant Maria who was showing off her strength a moment ago. Everything seems absurd. Maria runs in panic as a boar breathes down her neck. Her screams become more desperate. This does not look like the behavior of an experienced fighter. Makoto, already prepared, reaches out and draws in magical energy. Surprised by the scene, he decisively orders Maria to duck immediately. Maria turns as a powerful flash rips through the air. Makoto's magic strikes the boar with destructive force, hurling the beast into the wall and sending debris flying everywhere. Maria lies on the ground, stunned, staring at the blast site. Makoto approaches calmly, as if nothing happened. A level 10 fire magic strike finishes the monster. A blast of flames engulfs the creature, tearing its body apart in a firestorm. A woman approaches Maria and asks if she is all right. Maria cannot answer and only stares at Makoto with a stunned, shocked look. She suddenly erupts in anger, saying sharply that she did not ask for help and accusing Makoto of lying, while the boy just watches silently, not understanding what she means. She proudly introduces herself again, but Makoto stops her and reminds her that at level 99 she should fight, not run. Maria says she had no choice. Embarrassed, she admits she never beat monsters that were still moving. Others wore them down, and she finished them off and gained experience. Makoto wonders why she brags about it. Maria stays proud. As he is about to leave, the girl grabs his face and knocks him completely off balance. Maria tries to persuade Makoto to let her join the team by offering him a special permit, but he only points to the exit and tells her to contact security if she needs help. She insists she will not leave and wants to finish the dungeon, and Makoto, irritated, presses her to explain why she ran earlier after claiming to be so determined. The situation turns into an absurd quarrel between pride and stubbornness, and in the end Maria admits she is afraid and asks Makoto to fight instead of her. Despite her fear, she grabs his clothes and does not let go until he agrees. At that moment, she formally offers an alliance. Makoto is confused because her actions and words contradict each other. With a sigh, he finally gives in. I understand. Let go. Maria is immediately happy, thinking Makoto has accepted her as an equal partner. But Makoto says helping the child is not very worthwhile. Offended, Maria replies sharply that he really believes an alliance with her offers no benefit. Makoto asks why she is so determined to finish this dungeon. His suspicions grow because it seems this is not just about the money. Maria finally reveals the truth. Her real goal is to prove her maturity to her parents, who live far away, and win their recognition, not gold. She isn't after money or experience. Her only goal is to have her name tied to the victory over the Red Shadow. Makoto is genuinely surprised by her frankness. Reflecting on Maria's request, he reaches a conclusion. He does not need the spotlight or public recognition. Valuing freedom above all, Makoto lets freedom take all the glory. He agrees to the alliance but insists that Maria claim she finished the dungeon on her own. They seal the alliance with a handshake. Both look inspired. This will be their shared challenge. Maria tells him to be glad he is now on her team, speaking with haughty confidence. Makoto does not argue but stresses that this cooperation is only for this dungeon. Nothing else is part of the agreement. The second floor of the Red Shadow holds a level 60 demonic boar that tests their endurance and resolve. Maria says confidently that this time everything will work out. Her voice is resolute and her gaze is focused. Makoto watches quietly as she tries to seem brave, and when she asks if he even has a weapon, he just walks away empty-handed. At last, he hands her the sword and says it may seem scary, but at level 99 she will be fine. She grabs the weapon and charges forward to face the demon alone. Courage flashes in Maria's eyes. She remains still as a demonic boar rushes at her. This time she does not back down. With all her strength, she lunges forward and lands a clean hit that knocks the monster off its feet. And she celebrates because this is the first monster she has defeated on her own, while Makoto confirms that everything is fine and the danger has passed. Excited by her success, Maria continues up the stairs, calling out that her level 99 is more than just a number. Confidently, she says she will clear this dungeon. Makoto follows her calmly, not worried. He thinks it will probably be fine, but on the next level they come across another adventurer's body with no sign of life. Climbing to the dungeon's third floor, Makoto asks Maria what abilities she has. With enthusiasm, she takes a fighting stance and announces she will reveal everything, saying it is time to prove why her abilities are exceptional. Suddenly, a strange voice echoes through the walls, saying, "Stop, it's starting to annoy me." Despite this, Maria announces she has mastered 4 superpowers and decides to show them instead of explaining. Ready to use her first skill, she asks Makoto to watch closely while revealing her most powerful magic. Confidently, she casts level 5 vacuum magic and a powerful magical beam shoots forward. A beam cuts straight through the dungeon wall. Makoto watches, stunned, and the next scene shows both staring at the ruined wall, confused. It seems things did not go as they expected. Makoto says this is the first time they have seen such magic. Maria, embarrassed, says she still cannot control it and always hits the walls. Next, she shows her second ability, level 10 healing magic that can instantly heal any wound. Makoto is thrilled, and Maria is already getting ready to show the third skill. Makoto is stunned that she might be the only person in the world with this power. It reminds him of game books. Maria moves on to the final skill, the rarest one, and gains 10 times more experience from every monster she defeats. She proudly asks whether Makoto has ever heard of it. And though he understands why she reached level 99, her excessive enthusiasm does not impress him. Makoto finds himself thinking he never really evaluated his own abilities, and now he realizes there may be others with the same abilities. When Maria asks him directly what skills he has, Makoto lies that he has nothing special and chooses to hide the truth. Deep down, he knows it is better to stay quiet about his skill that multiplies experience by 1,000. Talking about it would only bring extra trouble he does not need. Maria begins to suspect something. Makoto's evasive answer irritates her, and she no longer believes he lacks abilities. Genuinely amazed to learn he has several level 10 magics, including fire, ice, lightning, and even the unfamiliar flying cloud magic. She praises his power while Makoto thanks modestly, though inwardly he knows how far he is from ordinary people. Inspired, Maria declares she is the strongest after Makoto. She needs confirmation and waits for his reaction. Even without an answer, She still believes Makoto is level 99 and celebrates because they now form a powerful duo. Makoto just watches her and stays quiet. A thought crosses his mind that she's so optimistic, but he doesn't want to ruin her mood. Maria solemnly declares they are the strongest team in the entire dungeon. She declares herself leader without a shadow of doubt. Makoto still does not object and lets her carry on in her excitement. At last he laughs softly and says, "Maybe it's true." Maria looks at him in surprise, seeing such lightness in him for the first time. At first, the partnership was purely practical, but Makoto admits to himself that getting closer to someone like Maria isn't a bad idea. Maria is amazed. She thinks it is rare to see Makoto smiling, and her gaze is soft and a little surprised. A memory surfaces in Makoto's mind, showing he once formed an alliance with others. That experience proved to be a disappointment I don't even want to remember. Everything felt empty and dull. On the 6th floor of the Red Shadow Dungeon, Maria runs screaming from a new threat, and something has gone very wrong. Hysterically, she screams to Makoto as zombies emerge from the darkness. Terrified, she runs to him and pleads for help several times. Makoto-kan reacted instantly, sending enemies flying with a powerful strike to protect the girl from the onslaught. Maria hides her fear behind a forced smile. Feigning bravado, she says rank H is no big deal, even for her. Nearby, another adventurer is ambushed by a monster and tries to defend himself, but is outmatched and calls for help. Makoto calmly watches the scene, while panicked Maria rushes into the fight, shouting that she will save him. After a successful rescue, this adventurer sincerely thanks Makoto for saving his life and even restoring his magical energy. Gratitude shows in every word. Maria watches silently, and Makoto replies casually that it was nothing, then jokes to the adventurer, "Look who's talking," keeping things light despite the seriousness. After thanking them, the adventurer says he is in a hurry and heads straight back the way they came, and Maria, surprised, asks why. Blushing, he admits he's just turning back. His tone is awkward, and the answer is not very convincing. Makoto suspects someone may already have passed through the dungeon, but the man quickly denies it, insisting it's impossible. Walking through a corridor packed with other adventurers, someone says the two look very strong, but adds that their strength will not be enough to clear the dungeon. Makoto's expression shifts. Words about something more than power clearly catch his attention, and interest lights his eyes. Makoto and Maria reach the 7th floor of the Red Shadow Dungeon and are stunned to find a huge crowd of adventurers before them. Everyone looks downcast and no one moves forward. The scene creates anxiety and uncertainty about what lies ahead. They find a lake on the 7th floor that is completely filled with poison, a serious obstacle. A girl warns that the liquid slowly paralyzes the body, making movement impossible even if you dive in for just a moment. She adds that an hour ago someone impulsively jumped into the lake, and only a woman wearing glasses saved him, purely by chance. Makoto admits he does not have purification magic, and everyone present is surprised because they were expecting that kind of user. Maria panics, unsure what to do. The woman standing nearby steps in and says there is another way to cross the lake without magic. Makoto suddenly lifts Maria into his arms, making her blush and not understand what is happening because it was completely unexpected. Ignoring her embarrassment, he calmly tells her to hold on tight. Makoto uses his super speed to clear the poisonous lake in a single leap, leaving all onlookers stunned. Maria screams in panic, unable to believe he really plans to jump across the lake. It seems impossible to her. But Makoto calmly activates level 1 flying cloud magic and hovers over the poisonous water while holding her in her arms, and she is stunned, unable to speak. Soaring over the lake, he leaves a stunned crowd behind. Maria, though rescued, angrily tells him to let her go because she hates being touched, even for a noble reason. Now, back on the ground, Maria feels awkward. She's embarrassed to have been carried in front of everyone, especially since Makoto isn't even her boyfriend. Maria is still stunned and ashamed that Makoto carried her in his arms. The memory of his tight embrace stays with her. She mutters that he now has to take responsibility for it. Meanwhile, Makoto remains completely calm and says the next stop is the 8th floor. He has no idea how much this has affected Maria. Silent, she stares at him with a glowing face. Makoto notices her odd behavior and asks what happened. He reminds them they need to go as far as possible today. Maria, still shaken by her emotions, feels she has to tell her parents about this adventure. Her enthusiasm suddenly bursts out, as she looks at Makoto with a sparkle in her eyes and calls out, so that after the dungeon is finished, she will tell her parents everything. Makoto only wonders where such a sudden surge of emotion came from. On the 13th floor of the Red Shadow, Makoto skillfully combines level 2 flying cloud magic with level 10 fire magic, and they have been exploring the dungeon for over 10 hours. Soaring above the monsters, he unleashes powerful fire attacks. Maria watches in awe and says, "That's what you expect from Makoto-sama." Makoto kills the monster with a single blow while shielding Maria. His reactions are precise and his attacks are flawless. Shocked, Maria says she is fine, but asks why there are suddenly so many monsters around, and though nervous, she holds herself together and worries about Makoto's condition. Defending herself, she says buttons exist to be pressed, even though she just pressed a very suspicious one. Makoto just sighs and agrees it looked strange. When it comes time to rest, Maria insists she still has energy, and Makoto suddenly sets up a tent, completely surprising her. He quickly sets up a full camp with towels, food, and clothes. Maria is impressed, and he offers to keep watch. The girl admires the magic bag and says she wants one too. She thanks him sincerely and admires his speed and organization, and her eyes show genuine admiration. Maria insists that Makoto promise her something with a pinky swear. When he agrees, her face lights up with joy. In the tent, she hides happily while Makoto sighs, feeling like a nanny because he is exhausted too. Maria thanks him sincerely for everything while he sits outside. Her voice is calm and warm. She praises his level 10 fire magic, which has saved her life more than once, and says his training is at the highest level. He says his strength is like a powerful warrior from legends. Makoto is taken aback by the sudden praise. He asks how she found out about the Senkut no Goren group. Maria answers completely relaxed, as if it's nothing special. Maria says the team, Senko no Guren, is the most famous among young people because of their strength and appearance, and Makoto is impressed when he sees their images in the news and media. She proudly recalls dating their leader Kamashiro, calls him a nice guy, and admits she would like to see him again. Maria had an adventure with them before, but she never expected they would become so famous. Surprised by her words, Makoto tries to shift the conversation by calling it mere dreams, and Maria teasingly accuses him of jealousy. 7 months earlier, the scene shows a flashback in which the main character is among several people who will likely play an important role in his future. The protagonist admits that since meeting them, his sense of freedom has been shaken, and the encounter changed his inner world. Kamashiro Sanichi, 16, chats playfully with Sakura, teases her for acting too childish and tells her to grow up. Sakura looks puzzled, as if she doesn't understand what she did wrong. Kamashiro acts light-hearted and playful. The 5-star dungeon Shalov Seren is mentioned, hinting at their experience. Kido Hikari, Rizukawa Renge, Umoshigi Umis, and the protagonist appear in the scene. The scene introduces the team. Each member has a unique style and personality. Their dynamic is varied and compelling, and their interactions are rich. Kido Hikari, 16, is energetic and upbeat, laughs at Makoto, and finds him interesting because Makoto ran away from home, was expelled from school, and ended up in the underground. Mitsukawa Renge, 16, calm and focused. Noise irritates her, especially Kido's antics. Makoto feels out of place, puzzled by everyone's behavior. Renj whispers something to Nagasawa Beniko and then immediately approaches Makoto. Beniko, 16, asks if he is a solo player. A speaker explains there are 2 types of dungeon explorers, solo and team. Makoto replies calmly while Beniko seems indifferent. He tries to keep the conversation going by naming his team, and the others watch him with cool curiosity. Monsters suddenly fall from the ceiling and someone, likely a girl with a braid, accidentally triggers a trap. Makoto is stunned by an unexpected attack. Everyone on the team reacts instantly, and a chaotic battle begins. The Senko no Guren team charges into battle. Kido attacks with raw force. Renge strikes with precision. Beniko stays cool and composed. Kamashiro calmly cuts down enemies, and Makoto watches from afar, impressed by their strength. He listens as they explain that the name Senko no Guren comes from the first letters of the team members' names. Makoto watches the 4 standing together, weapons in hand. Their unity, strength, and style are impressive. They are a real team with their own identity and spirit. In a relaxed conversation, someone asks who came up with the team name, sparking a round of cheerful guesses and jokes among the group. Beniko and Renge trade words easily. Kido overreacts. Makoto quietly realizes that he still hasn't done anything truly difficult. Suddenly, the calm is broken by a new creature that leaps onto the group, leaving everyone bewildered. Makoto instantly destroys the enemy and gains 2 levels. Sakura is hit and falls to the ground. The others are worried. Kido lifts her while Mizukawa prepares healing magic. The whole team gathers around, eyes full of concern. Mizukawa reassures everyone it's only a scratch, and immediately uses healing magic to calm the others. The spell goes wrong as it is cast. The glow shifts, the magic behaves oddly, and everyone tenses. Mizukawa herself is surprised to admit that something unusual happened during the process, and she did not expect it. Makoto comes to, wrapped in a blanket, notices a container of liquid nearby, and tries to remember what happened. Kamashiro calmly reads a book beside him and asks how he feels. Makoto is still confused and does not understand what happened. He realizes he fainted and somehow survived after being poisoned by a venomous creature he had never heard of. The poison bird has the poison gland in its head. Its poison is deadly, but he survived thanks to Mizukawa. While he slept, Mizukawa neutralized the poison and Kido carried him to the 14th floor using enhanced strength. Makoto shyly thanks, and Kido insists he thank Mitsukawa separately, since he would not have survived without her. Thinking about the magic of healing and detox, Makoto wonders if regular doctors still matter in this new world. Kido decides to check Sakura's abilities, and when Makoto's status appears, everyone is shocked by what they see. His fire, ice, and lightning skills are all at a higher level than Kido's, and the team is stunned. Makoto announces he has reached level 71, which frustrates Kido and makes him vow to become stronger. Kido storms off to train, but Kamashiro scolds him for making noise. Ashamed, he apologizes. While Makoto is still recovering, Kamashiro carefully checks his status and is surprised to find abilities like infinite level increase and experience X1000. Some of them have unusual features. Meanwhile, Mizukawa and Ranji, still on guard, decide to use the spare moment to talk. Both remain alert, but make time to exchange a few words while keeping watch over their surroundings. Makoto notes everyone's skill with surprise and asks if they all come from Arya Academy's fencing club. Kamashiro confirms and adds that despite their modest skills, Makoto's level is exceptionally high. Asked why they became players, Tomashiro starts to answer but stops, searching for the right words and revealing something deeper. Makoto honestly admits that traveling with friends is fun and exciting. That is his reason. He isn't sure how much longer people will hold his interest, but for now, that's what keeps him going. Kamashiro notes that even Kido looks more interesting than usual, and this surprises him. Kamashiro then says plainly that talking with Makoto really captivates him and asks if Makoto feels the same. Kamashiro looks him straight in the eye and waits for an answer. He asks if he also thinks there is something interesting between them. Makoto falls silent, unsure what to say, lost in his thoughts. He remembers everything that happened, the battles, the support, the laughter. Memories of true friendship come back, and a faint smile appears on his face. His expression turns thoughtful and moved, showing that everything he went through really touched him. With Mizukawa, he goes down to the 14th level of the dungeon. Still lost in thought, the boy thanks her for treating him. The moment flusters her and she falters, unsure how to respond. Despite a mild protest, Makoto insists, and she is quietly touched. While moving between corridors, Mizukawa admits she has no useful skills and only knows the basics. But Makoto insists otherwise, saying he would have died without her. Others defend her, and saving a life is an achievement in itself. Moved, Makoto thanks her again sincerely. Mizukawa, slightly blushing, replies with a modest, warm smile. As they resume their journey, Beniko tries to draw attention, saying she also deserves praise. Kaira curtly orders her to be quiet. Meanwhile, Kamashiro spots something ahead and points to a hole in the wall that appeared in the darkness. The group moves closer and finds stairs leading deeper into the dungeon, where darkness swallows every step. Reaching the 15th floor, Sakura notices warily that the air has suddenly turned icy and oppressive. Kamashiro confirms her feeling. There is clearly a floor boss here. Ahead appears a monstrous wolf-like creature radiating a hostile aura. The group stops at the boss's door on the 15th floor. They all know the monster is already waiting inside. To decide who fights the monster first, Beneko suggests using rock, paper, scissors. Mizukawa looks confused. She does not know the rules of the game, which surprises Sakurai even more. Beneko explains that to split experience fairly, they always use this game to decide who gets the final hit. Kaido cuts in. Sakura cannot take part because she is level 71 and not officially on the team. The group agrees without protest. But Sakura falls silent, as if something important is stirring inside her. Mizukawa doesn't hold back and says firmly that Sakura has already become their friend. Her words stun everyone, especially Sakura. Kamishiro and Kido reflect on this. Kamishiro finally decides that excluding a friend is wrong, and Sakura smiles as she agrees to play because they are now true friends. They enter the boss's office on the 15th floor, as a united team full of trust. The group moves deeper, each step tense. The air feels heavier and fear creeps in unnoticed. Kaito senses a hostile presence ahead, and the boss's approach raises alarm. A massive, silent monster suddenly bursts from the darkness, attacking from behind and catching everyone off guard. Makoto throws himself forward to shield Mizukawa. The attack hits him as the beast's teeth sink into his body. Despite his wound, he stays calm, reassures everyone he's fine, tells the others to fall back, and moves forward himself to check if the creature is poisonous. Kido launches into an attack, striking the monster with a powerful punch. The group turns and sees Makoto standing on the front line, and they wonder if he can really handle the beast on his own. Intel shows the enemy is a two-tailed boss with no level shown, indicating extreme danger. Kaido tries to take charge, promising to finish the boss quickly. Mizukawa nervously checks Makoto's wounds. Makoto admits that after the bite he has only half his health left, likely due to a special effect. Komashiro warns that something even more dangerous is coming. Beneko and Komashiro are shocked to find out Kaido is only level 24 and clearly not up to this boss. There is no time to think. The 15th floor boss brutally drives Kaido into the ground and leaves him critically wounded. The monster's teeth bite into Kido, and Kido screams as his life bar quickly drains. Within seconds, HP falls from 78 to 39. The boss doesn't even think about stopping and prepares for a new strike. Ranji lunges forward and drives his sword into the monster's body, stopping the attack on Kaido. In that moment, Sakura sees a wound on her arm but ignores the pain and asks Mizukawa to help Kaido without thinking of herself. Ranji gets ready for another strike while Mizukawa rushes to Kaido, who already regrets his recklessness. The monster attacks Kaido again, and despite his wounds, Kaido realizes he is the target and tells his friends to run while he draws the monster away. Sakura steps forward to shield Mizukawa and Kaido, activating lightning magic. A powerful flash explodes in front of the monster and stuns everyone, even though it is only a first-level spell. The power was enough to stop the monster. The group stares at the defeated boss's body, stunned. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief, then amazement sweeps over them. Sakura receives a message. He rose 20 levels at once. Staring at his hand in shock, he whispered that it is dangerous. Mizukawa, alarmed, rushes to the gravely wounded Kaido and calls his name. Sakura also comes over and asks if he's okay. Kido suddenly falls forward, exhausted by his injuries, and Sakura catches him in time. Everyone is worried about Kido's condition, even with wounds like that. He stands up and shouts that Sakura stole the loot, ignoring that she saved his life. Kido's reaction shocks everyone, as he remains seething with anger. Despite the tense atmosphere and others trying to help, Kido keeps ignoring everything, and people are disappointed by his behavior and the situation as a whole. Sakura decides to step away from the group. When they ask him to stop, he only thanks them for their help. He calmly says he will no longer follow anyone and confidently walks away alone. Mizukawa and Makoto, worried, try to catch up. Sakura suddenly wakes to Makoto's voice, and he is still shaking from what he went through. Turning, he notices Mary beside him, asleep while standing guard. His voice wakes her, and she answers sleepily. Sakura, surprised, jokes that you can fall asleep on duty, and the tension slowly eases. Maria steps out in a new outfit, surprising Sakura. He praises her, saying it suits her. Maria blushes, but with a sour look thinks he hands out compliments too carelessly. She explains she only slightly altered the clothes he gave her. Sakura tries to remember whether he actually bought that dress. He says the item was too hard to carry, so he just put it in the bag. Seeing how well Maria did the homework, He says he is surprised. Maria is pleased, but adds that the word unexpected is unnecessary here. Sakura only smiles. The narrator ends the scene saying, "And after that, Maria and I." As Sakura and Maria calmly explore the area, they keep checking items and tidying up. In one shot, a status screen shows Makoto at level 19 with insanely high stats and skills like infinite level increase and 1000x experience. Stunned, Maria looks at his data while Sakura calmly shows Maria her status. On the 19th floor of the Red Shadow Labyrinth dungeon, Sakura and Maria were clearly lost in the endless corridors. Maria admits she's never seen a dungeon with such a confusing layout before. Sakura nods, smiling, surprised that he finds it funny. He explains that in a maze you can keep one hand on a wall and eventually find the exit. Maria is impressed by the simplicity and effectiveness of the advice. A voice comes from one of the corridors and Sakura rushes to check. He knows one thing: someone is definitely there. A passage opens ahead, like a scene from a horror movie. Maria's tense face confirms the creepy feeling. Both stay alert, sensing the uneasy atmosphere. Scene. Maria and Sakura explore a dark, frightening corridor where every sound seems to signal danger. A group of 4 steps out from around the corner. Among them are Mizukawa, Kaito, and 2 others in combat armor. Mizukawa immediately recognizes Sakura. She runs up to him happily, saying she has not seen him in a long time. Sakura and Maria react with surprise as the unexpected meeting amazes them both. Maria recalls a time when she admired the feats of the group Senku no Guren and dreamed of becoming an equally exceptional player. Now that she has met them in person, she can hardly believe such an amazing coincidence. Meanwhile, the group notices Makoto and teases that Maria is his girlfriend. Both look embarrassed. Younger participants light up on seeing the legendary Senku no Guren team and sincerely praise each member. Mizukawa is praised for her all-around skills, Kaito for his strength and fighting style, and Nagasawa for refined kendo technique, while Sakura, with a serious expression, seems a bit annoyed by this wave of admiration. Finally, the team leader appears, Kamishiro. A young fan greets him with awe. Maria cannot hide her joy and draws attention with her curiosity, and Makoto tries to excuse her behavior. The narrator explains that Kamishiro is a natural talent and an outstanding leader, but his perfection makes it hard for him to get along with people. He tries to make up for it with charm but fails. A group member recognizes Maria, a professional model who appeared in the popular magazine Color Star, and this shocks everyone. Makoto didn't suspect it. Maria is embarrassed, yet also pleasantly excited by the confession. Immediately, she confronts Makoto in indignation, asking why he had said then that an alliance with her would offer no benefit. Makoto awkwardly explains that they met at the dungeon entrance and have been temporarily working together because he wanted to help her. Mizukawa, Kaito, and the others are surprised, then quickly become happy and enthusiastically suggest reuniting as a team. Makoto confirms that he and Maria promised to stick together until they clear the dungeon. Maria, touched, asks if that promise still holds. Everyone agrees, and Makoto sincerely hopes he can count on the group's help. Maria is accepted into the team without trouble. Makoto is quietly surprised by how warm the atmosphere feels. The other girls quickly warm up to Maria. Makoto watches quietly and realizes that familiar faces surround him and everyone accepts him as he is. He sees the positive side, and his calm presence lets him stay in the background without drawing extra attention. The team moves on, in a relaxed, pleasant atmosphere where each step is accompanied by ease and trust. Kamishiro approaches Maria with a warm smile and offers his hand. Surprised and embarrassed, she freezes at first, but then accepts his gesture. The other group members smile and quietly watch the sweet moment between them. During a training fight, an armored warrior lunges with his sword, but Makoto quickly counterattacks, and his strength impresses everyone. The night watch falls silent, each person deeply impressed by the display of power. Soon, the group gathers for a shared meal, having an impromptu dinner outdoors. Everyone sits on the floor, enjoying a quiet moment. A relaxed mood settles over the meal as Maria jokes that some dishes are not for everyone. She reaches for something in Makoto's hands, then realizes how intimate the gesture looks and blushes with embarrassment. Someone quickly looks away and the others laugh warmly. Makoto notices his friends' smiles and, smiling a little, feels comfortable around them. The scene moves to the 20th floor of the Red Shadow Labyrinth dungeon, the deepest level, where a new challenge awaits them. The group faces a boss that looks fragile. Kaido, the winner of rock, paper, scissors, steps forward. Mizukawa is assigned to prepare healing magic. Nagasawa is on standby and ready to support. Maria is moved to the rear for safety, and Makoto says he will help only if needed. Everyone gets into position. Kido launches a quick straight strike at the boss, starting the battle. Others watch the fight from a distance, carefully assessing how events unfold. Mizukawa admits they nearly forced Makoto to join, even though they knew he could beat the boss on his own. Makoto apologizes calmly. He watches the fight end in silence, lost in thought, admitting to himself he wants to fight freely and on his own, but something holds him back. He realizes that in searching for freedom in solitude, they have ended up surrounded by allies. Harsh words and memories of exile come back. Despite the lack of complete freedom, he feels genuinely at ease with this group. Amid the wreckage after the battle, the team leader smiles at Makoto and says he is really enjoying this moment. Makoto watches him in silence, moved by his honesty, and the words touch him deeply. Makoto stares into the rubble as the ground beneath him begins to crack. A huge chasm opens before him, taking him by surprise. He tries to fall back, but the tense situation holds him. Makoto moves through his unconscious comrades, all of them down. A true threat looms ahead. A creature with 9 tails and the floor's real boss. Its level is unknown, and its presence is oppressive. Makoto prepares for a serious fight. Seeing his wounded friends and the huge threat, rage fills him, and he remembers losing his freedom and ending up with no choice. His gaze locks on the enemy. This is unforgivable. With resolve in his eyes, he steps into battle with the 9 tails alone. Reporter Takota Koko cheerfully announces a scoop. A new story from the dungeon of the Red Shadow Labyrinth, the most talked-about spot in Okinawa Prefecture. Players from across the country gathered at the entrance, drawn by the dungeon that had captured the community's attention. Koko announces that even the legendary Senkone Ogoran team has arrived on the scene. Their arrival thrills fans, and many are already hoping for autographs. The reporter stresses, the Red Underground is at the center of national attention. It has been 5 days since the government announced a reward. Inside the dungeon, the boy lunges at the creature with a straight strike, meeting the challenge head-on. Everyone wonders if someone will finally arrive who can clear this dungeon. Kodo finds Mitsukawa on the ground and rushes to her, sighing with relief when he sees she is alive. Stunned, she tries to understand what happened, and explains that the 9 tails explosion severely wounded everyone, and because she hid behind Kodo she avoided the worst. But the realization of defeat fills her with pain. Kodo begs her to save everyone. He believes only she can do it. Mizukawa awakens his power in a crisis and activates level 10 ice magic, a powerful surge of cold that instantly freezes everything around and stuns every witness. The monster is frozen instantly. Everyone is stunned by the scale of her power. Confidently stepping forward, Kodo tells Mizukawa to tend the wounded and that he will finish it himself. She calls him, worried, but he says it's okay. Only he can deal with it. Koto leaps into battle and casts a level 10 fire spell at the monster. A giant fireball explodes with staggering force and lands a direct hit, sweeping the battlefield with a powerful shockwave. Koto realizes that neither physical attacks nor ice magic hurt the monster because its body is made of fire. But the earlier explosion still knocked it back thanks to level 3 flying cloud magic. Quickly shifts position, analyzes the situation, and concludes that victory can only be won one way. Koto casts a powerful level 10 lightning spell. The sky erupts with light, but the monster holds firm and blocks the attack. Stunned, Koto watches through a veil of energy, realizing that even such power has its limits. The creature could not be defeated. A memory flashes into his mind. At school, someone once bullied him, destroying his things in class while he stood frozen with fear. Classmates mocked him, and even one girl's care could not move him. There was only silent pain, and then even harsher humiliations followed. One of the attackers faked hanging and said that in the victim's place, he would have killed himself long ago. Koto burst out, called them scoundrels, then fell silent, powerless. Despite his anger, he could do nothing, helpless and weak. He thinks how things might have changed if he had stood up to Sakurabi back then. Support might have come and he might have stayed in that world, but now it no longer matters. Now he is among other people. New friends appreciate him and accept him as he is. Makoto, wounded and exhausted, draws strength from that. He remembers he now has a place and people he does not want to lose, and after trying to get up, he decides that if one attack is not enough, he will keep fighting. Wounded but smiling, Maria appears. She tells him not to worry, that everyone is close by. Her words make him even more determined. Makoto, badly wounded but full of strength, casts a spell with both hands and declares it is his most powerful magic. His eyes show firm resolve and regret as he looks at the Nine Tails and says, "This is the end." He activates 2 level 10 lightning spells at once, unleashing a massive electric discharge that destroys everything in its path. Makoto stands before the enemy and says firmly that they are no match. The difference in strength is clear. This fight will be over. The creature is down. Makoto vows to protect those he does not want to lose and will not let the past repeat itself. His level jumps instantly by 417 points, a reward for victory and renewed resolve. Exhausted, Makoto collapses to the ground. Relief shows in his eyes. He looks up at the sky in silence and lets out a deep breath. The battlefield lies in ruins, and the threat is gone. The girls celebrate the victory with smiles, relief, and happiness. Makoto is utterly exhausted but at peace, because he finally protected what he truly loves. After the battle, everyone gathers together, breathing a sigh of relief. Makoto thanks Sakura, saying the victory would have been impossible without her. Others cheer his strength and courage, calling him incredible. Makoto watches silently, letting the celebration unfold around him. The team slowly recovers after the win. One fighter, still competitive, promises not to lose next time. Makoto replies calmly and even apologizes for the earlier hit. The mood is light, with jokes and friendly teasing. Everyone feels united and proud. The Red Shadow Labyrinth dungeon, rank H, has been officially cleared. Outside, a crowd is gathering. People grow anxious as they wait for news. Someone spots the returning adventurers and immediately draws everyone's attention. A cheer rises as the heroes return. The Senku no Guren group returns victorious, drawing surprise and admiration from the crowd. One of the observers notices a strange shiny object in Sakura's hands, a pendant on a chain, and asks what it is. Makoto explains that this necklace was left by the Nine-Tailed and proves they defeated the true boss. He asks that his name not be mentioned. All credit goes to the team. He does not seek fame or recognition. Sakura agrees and announces that Team Senku no Guren, along with Maria, cleared the Red Shadow Labyrinth dungeon. The crowd cheers, talking excitedly about the boss fight and the dangers they had to overcome. Some spot Maria as a star, which makes the noise even louder. While everyone is distracted, Makoto quietly prepares to leave. Sakura makes a final check to confirm he truly does not want to stay. He answers confidently that it is time to move on. He bids everyone farewell, ready to follow his own path. The team is surprised, but accepts his decision. Before leaving, he turns to Sakura. She says honestly that they might not stay together as a team. Still, among friends, there is always room for him. Makoto smiles, gratefully accepting this bond. Walking alone, he reflects on the battle and discovers a new possibility, combining skills to create unique strategies, recalling the time he cast 2 level 10 lightning spells at once and feeling the thrill of that discovery. Inspired, he sees many new opportunities ahead. Now it is important for him not just to level up, but to learn to use his power wisely. At that moment, Maria appears, running to catch up with him and calling out loudly, anxious and determined. Makoto looks confused and asks what happened. Maria blushes and replies happily that they need to tell her parents some important news. She insists they should say it together, her voice filled with emotion. She confesses how much their time together means to her, hugs him tightly as she remembers the adventures, conversations, and battles they shared. And Makoto, stunned, asks why she is holding him so tightly, because he does not know how to respond to Maria's sincerity. Maria says she always lived happily, loved by her parents, but she knew the outside world still held wonders she had not seen. She smiles confidently, says that if it's Makoto, everyone will accept him, and suggests they share the news together. Moved by her trust and enthusiasm, Makoto looks at her in silence and realizes that Maria is truly an amazing person. He admits, After a fight with his parents 8 months ago, he has not been home since. Still, he is their son and must apologize. Maria, blunt as always, says she would have hated Makoto if he did not love his parents. Her words make him smile. Confident and amused, she accepts the situation with a calm, "All right then." After saying goodbye, she tells him she'll see him when he becomes a true gentleman worthy of her. They part smiling, clenching their fists like the strongest team. A promise hangs in the air. Makoto arrives in Morioka Prefecture, calmly surveys the area, checks something on his phone, takes a deep breath, and enters a house. At the door, he takes the breath, says, "Let's go," and steps over the threshold. His mother rushes out and hugs him tightly. Surprised, Makoto can only say, "Mom." Tears in her eyes, she calls him a fool and happily whispers, "Welcome back." Makoto is quietly moved. Approaching his father, he looks him straight in the eye. After a long pause, the father says, "Welcome back, son." Makoto barely smiles and says, "I'm home, Dad." 8 months away from home come to an end. At last home, he breathes a sigh of relief, but his spirit turns again to new challenges. Sitting in the room, he reaches for his phone. It's time to pick the next dungeon. The player's life goes on. Makoto tells his parents he has decided to become a full-fledged player. His path is set. After clearing the H-rank dungeon, he prepares for the next challenge, rank G. He declares he is leaving. Maria, surprised, calls his name as he steps out of the house. Maria, dressed for the occasion and smiling with excitement, stands at Makoto's door. It is time for their promised meeting. Makoto, flustered, instantly closes the door right in front of her. Maria blinks in surprise and calls his name. Looking in the mirror, he sees his clothes torn after fighting the Ninetales. Time to change. Noticing that Maria's clothes look worn, he suggests she change, but she quickly refuses and says everything is fine. Maria insists she will not waste the gift because it is clothing from Makoto. Maria will repair it herself. They both agree and are ready to leave. Makoto is surprised by her resolve, which is unusual for someone so young. Noticing his glance, she makes a cute face. Then Makoto realizes other girls have gathered there too. They greet him in a relaxed, casual way, saying, "Good morning," they say, reminding him of the promise he made them back in Okinawa. One of them says the moment they talked about back then has come right now. Makoto tries to joke that he was about to go to the dungeon, but the girls interrupt him, reminding him that Maria returns home next week and that this gathering is a kind of farewell. Even then he keeps insisting, "The dungeon is youth." One of the girls mentally shrugs and thinks something is wrong with him. Maria suggests going to the dungeon after the meeting. The group enthusiastically agrees. Makoto asks how she learned his address. Maria smiles slyly and changes the subject, saying some things are better left unknown, and he grows embarrassed. Everyone heads off together to the clothing store in high spirits. Maria insists it's time to give Makoto a new look. She says he always wears the same thing and, as a model, she can help. Makoto blushes and reminds her that she said they should break up. She admits she did not want to upset him. Now, before leaving, she wants to thank him for everything he did for her. Maria asks him to just relax and enjoy the moment. Makoto agrees and finally picks a t-shirt with a strange cartoon goblin. Maria is delighted and praises his choice, calling the t-shirt beautiful while the other girls watch silently, clearly puzzled by his quirky taste. The team arrives at the Umino Oceanarium. Maria instantly comes alive, cheerfully saying she loves aquariums and racing ahead, leaving the others watching in surprise. Makoto points out this place is a bit smaller than the aquarium in his hometown. Maria calls that she wants to see the penguins, and Makoto warns her not to get lost while the others laugh at the scene. While Maria explores the exhibit, Makoto asks Mizukawa what she wanted to see, because the trip was her idea. Mizukawa admits shyly that she likes jellyfish. They approach a large aquarium where dozens of jellyfish swim freely. Mitsukawa says the creatures are mysterious and enchanting to her. She says with enthusiasm that all the jellyfish here are from the sea, and many people even keep them at home as pets. Her eyes light up when she talks about a whole museum devoted to rare jellyfish species. Moments later, she runs ahead and calls Makoto to join. He just smiles quietly and follows. Mizukawa says this day is special to her because she saw rare jellyfish and spent it with Makoto. Makoto agrees that he enjoyed it too. Later, he gives her a souvenir, a jellyfish-shaped keychain. Surprised and touched, she asks if it is really for her. Makoto nods and says he bought gifts for the other girls too. Mizukawa, visibly moved, thanks them and says she will treasure the gift for the rest of her life. Makoto, slightly embarrassed, admits he picked the keychain on impulse when he saw a t-shirt that read Umibuda. At that moment, Mizukawa's phone rings, breaking the silence, and Makoto realizes he still hasn't seen the two girls in the aquarium. Mizukawa answers the phone, and Benny is on the line, her voice panicked as she pleads for help. Asked where she was, Benny answers quickly that she is at the amusement park, and Makoto and Mizukawa immediately realize this is serious. Maria eagerly rushes to the next rides. She loves the thrill. Mizukawa and Makoto are surprised because they did not expect her to enjoy that. Nearby, they notice Nagasawa does not handle strong emotions well. Exhausted and with a slightly tired look, Xiaoyun watches the younger girls with equal parts admiration and fatigue, and they have so much energy. Makoto watches Maria and Mizukawa happily riding the rides, while he talks with Nagasawa about loot from the Red Shadow Labyrinth dungeon and suggests splitting it evenly among everyone. Makoto gives up his share because the dungeon challenge matters more than profit, saying he does not need much money to live well, but Nagasawa still considers the split unfair. While they rest together, Makoto asks whether the Senku no Goren team has any further plans. Nagasawa says he has it. Like most players, they want the same thing, entering the dungeon of Mount Herendu. An A-rank dungeon called The Last is the highest challenge and the final goal for many adventurers. Makoto recognizes the name. He was there 2 months ago. It is said to lie by Lake Usori in Aomori Prefecture. The site is wrapped in icy silence and dead calm. Even force could not open the gate, as if the entrance itself were sealed forever. As they discuss the creepy place, Kamishiro admits he felt fear, though it doesn't bother him much. Renge smiles and lightens the mood, saying this is not the time for scary dungeon stories, and tells Sakura to buy drinks for everyone to apologize. Meanwhile, two strangers approach Makoto, mistake him for a girl, and try to flirt with him, while Maria and Mizukawa take photos with fans in the background. Makoto returns with drinks and sees the same guys hinting that he's waiting for his boyfriend. Renge steps in and sarcastically ends the situation, calling the two odd and badly dressed, and the offended men try to defend their dignity. But Makoto and Renge stay calm and make clear there is no connection between them. It turns out they're the Tsuchikura brothers, theatrically introducing themselves as the strongest YouTubers, level 99, demanding an apology for being called strange and threatening revenge for the insult. Makoto watches the scene calmly, thinking he's level 20,000, so threats don't bother him at all. Chapter 11 begins. The Tsuchikura brothers announce a PvP battle for glory. They boast a 38-win streak, and see Makoto and Nagasawa as potential viral content because of her popularity. They demand the fight footage as compensation. Nagasawa instantly denies any romantic link to Makoto, insisting they are not a couple. Tension builds in the air. One brother assures that even if someone is wounded, they have level 8 healing magic. Laughing confidently, he says there is simply no chance of losing. Makoto remembers when the level system was activated. Everyone got different starting stats based on physical fitness. His were low, and he still remembers that gap. Meanwhile, the brothers brag about their stats, saying they are so muscular that even at level 99 they stay unbeatable. Sakura loses patience with the Tsuchikura brothers' arrogance, calls them crazy in t-shirts, and issues a direct challenge. Makoto tries to calm her, saying there is no point in starting a fight, but the brothers only provoke her more and are ready to fight. He admits he is level 94 but hesitates. Because she can't just attack an enemy with lower stats, she still decides to fight in Nagasawa's place. Surprised, she asks why, and Makoto simply answers, "I can't rely on brute force." Annoyed, Nagasawa agrees. "If you lose, I'll kill you. This is not a joke." Half serious, Bill looks a little unsettled. The fight begins. The opponent immediately activates a technique that triples his speed to catch Makoto off guard. Confident, Makoto says he won't lose. One of the staff records it all excitedly on video. The opponent launches a sudden attack and kicks Makoto in the torso. The strike is precise, but Makoto does not even flinch. The enemy sneers, sure he landed a hard hit, and keeps trying to provoke him, while Makoto replies calmly, "You talk too much." And the second brother joins the fight, stunned by Makoto's resilience. Makoto launches the Tsuchikura rush technique, a wild series of strikes. Everyone thinks he won't hold up. During the attack, the opponent notices something strange. Despite his best efforts, none of his strikes land, and Makoto easily dodges while staying completely calm. In an instant, Makoto responds with a single punch to the stomach and says only, "Hey!" The strike is so powerful it sends the enemy flying far back, airborne and unable to control their body. The crowd is stunned by how easily it happened. Makoto watches the result calmly while his brother screams in despair, accusing him of cheating or using magic. Makoto just shrugs, as if he's used to not holding back. Suddenly, they activate level 10 air magic, and a powerful explosion of energy stuns everyone around. Makoto notices that, like with healing spells, magic can be stabilized with both hands, and decides to confirm this with Maria. While experimenting, the spell suddenly releases, sending a shockwave outward, and Sakura warns them as the magic flies straight toward them. Makoto reacts instantly, grabs Sakura, and leaps out of the blast zone to protect her. Everyone is stunned, especially the brothers, and one of them shouts that it is impossible. They lost and cannot believe that Makoto even managed to dodge. Makoto ends the fight with one precise blow to the last brother's face, sending him to the ground. No show or posing, only a quiet, "We won." And the scene closes with the opponents unconscious and the victory clear and simple. After the fight, Makoto apologizes, saying he instinctively dodged and forgot Nagasawa was behind him, and asks if she is okay, but something on the floor suddenly catches her attention. A gift, with a plush toy from Maria. Nagasawa's expression changes, clearly showing she is moved. The other girls notice the tension and fall silent. After everything, the group tries to relax at a cafe, but the awkward Tsuchikura brothers show up again, trying to fit in and calling Makoto their boss, while the others make it clear they do not consider them friends. Benia asks how much longer Makoto plans to stay here, and someone answers wearily that it's time to head home, and the group agrees, ending the day on a calm note despite everything. Dagoda reminds them they were supposed to go to the dungeon. What about that? The girls eagerly embrace the idea, and Maria beams with excitement. Everyone laughs, and even Benny reluctantly agrees. Makoto looks at Nagasawa and asks if he's with them, and the scene ends a beat before the answer, with a note of expectation. Slightly blushing, Nagasawa replies, "Okay, let's go," while trying to hide her inner joy. Then a sharp cut. The fight video with the Tsuchikura brothers went viral. The title states that the one who beat them has finally appeared. The video gained over 800,000 views in one day. Sakura is shocked when he sees the fight video has spread online. He mutters to himself that it was filmed without permission, and starts to wonder if those guys were really famous. A message arrives. It's Kamishiro. He saw the video and asks directly, "Sakura, what's your level now?" It makes him even more tense because he doesn't want extra attention. Kamishiro keeps going. He calls personally and immediately says he wants a one-on-one duel. With complete confidence, he says, "I'll beat you." Sakura did not expect such a challenge and was impressed by the opponent's determination. The story shifts to a new chapter. 20th floor of the Blue Cave Dungeon, rank G. Sakura fights a giant fire-breathing dragon alone. The chapter is titled Strange Solo Player, and a new phase begins. Surrounded by dragons on all sides, Sakura activates her magic. From both hands it releases powerful beams that fly in all directions, and the energy blast hits monsters dead on. Sakura demonstrates an incredible ability to fight huge enemies alone, with precision and fearlessness. Surrounded by dozens of dragons at the recommended level 95, he smiles confidently and prepares a powerful spell with both hands, enjoying the fight because the real battle is just beginning. A massive blast wipes out a whole horde of dragons in seconds, and level-up messages flood in one after another. +6, +7, and higher. The scale of the slaughter is staggering. The level spikes, showing his power far exceeds this place. Sakura does not stop. Each spell hits the enemies and notifications of new levels keep coming. From the very first meeting, he thinks this while fully controlling the battlefield. His magic is precision, not raw power. Suddenly, an unexpected call comes in, and on the other end, a guy calmly mentions Sakura's unique powers, infinite level-ups and a 1000x experience multiplier. He admits Sakura long ago passed level 99. Faced with the challenge, Sakura stays silent, sensing trouble. He still doesn't understand why that boy wants to fight, even after seeing his fight with the Tsuchikura brothers. Sakura asks straight out, "Why this duel?" The boy says he always got everything easily, even before the level system showed up. But meeting Sakura changed him. For the first time in his life, he felt the urge to surpass someone. His aim was to give his all just to see if he could defeat such an opponent. He doesn't look for a reason to fight. Saying a chance to face someone as strong as Sakura is enough because he likes challenges and finds Sakura interesting. But he adds that he does not want to force her into a fight and that he respects Sakura's life, leaving the choice to him whenever he is ready. Makoto Sakura reveals his status, level 23 UL1, with fire, ice, and lightning skills all at level 10, increased magic resistance and massive experience and efficiency multipliers. Still, he admits he does not know how to beat someone who is a true challenge. Despite his doubts, the invitation to a duel feels sincere. Suddenly, a blonde woman falls from the sky right in front of him, landing among rose petals and sitting on the ground, complaining of pain. Makoto looks on in shock, wondering who she is and where she came from. They trade glances until she breaks into a bright smile and says, "Aha." Rushing up to him, she excitedly asks again if he is the same Sakura. She says she saw a video of him beating the Tsuchikura brothers and praises him. "You were amazing." Sakura, a little surprised, replies, Yeah." Smiling, Esomiki introduces herself and thanks him for saving her. Smiling, she explains that a monster swallowed her and she escaped only because Sakura defeated it. If not for him, she would have stayed there forever. Sakura awkwardly says he does not remember how it happened at all. She just smiles and says he is being modest. He begins to wonder what she drank. The scene ends with a jolt as Sakura flinches when she hears her name spoken by someone else. On the 20th floor, someone else catches his eye, a girl without weapons or gear, and his gaze lands on Miki, who answers simply, "What's the matter?" and suggests a game to see who can hold eye contact the longest, and she wins easily. Miki celebrates the win as if it's the most important thing in her life. Sakura looks a bit embarrassed and isn't quite sure what's going on. Miki starts bragging that she never loses a staring contest and asks for a hamburger if she does, but Sakura ignores it and instead asks if she is here alone. Miki says yes, which makes him even more uneasy. The woman reached the 20th floor unarmed. Sakura starts to suspect she also has a special ability like endless level-ups. He asks directly, "What level are you at, Iso?" Miki says he's level 22. Sakura is surprised. "You can't survive here at that level." He doesn't believe her, but Miki insists she has no reason to lie. To prove it, she decides to show her status. Before that happens, a dragon falls from the sky ready to attack, and Sakura can't react in time. Miki already defeats the monster with one swift, precise strike. Sakura, stunned, looks at the fallen body and cannot understand how she managed it at only level 22. He must find out the secret. Even more surprising, the dragons start to pull back and fly off. The ground suddenly explodes. Miki manages to save Sakura by pulling him into the crater and shielding him with her body. Their eyes meet and Sakura realizes Miki is not as simple as she seems. Stunned, he sees Miki is completely unharmed after the attack. And while he tries to process it, she smiles because they are holding hands, leaving him even more bewildered. A new chapter begins. Miki leaps into his arms with a radiant smile as if nothing happened. Stunned, Sakura asks how she could have survived what happened, leaving him confused. She answers lightly, "Because you saved me." His confusion only grows at such a simple answer after all that chaos. Sakura starts to realize that dealing with her will be much harder than he thought, and Iso admits with a sly smile that she has special abilities. At only level 22, her status is absurd. Physical and magical damage have no effect on her. Sakura is stunned. Before him stands an almost invulnerable girl with a very low level. Iso winks and says, "Try to kill me. Nothing can hurt me." Iso keeps insisting that Sakura try to attack her, but he firmly refuses despite her overbearing enthusiasm because the idea of hitting someone invulnerable seems absurd and a little creepy. Her persistence wins out. Sakura still agrees, reluctantly and with a heavy sigh. He says in a serious voice, "I'll kill you." Iso just smiles. The man steps back, focuses, and prepares to attack. The strike was quick and direct, but something invisible suddenly blocked it. His hand didn't even touch her because a protective barrier stopped everything. Astonished, he realizes that even his magic cannot pierce her abilities. Eso, happy and proud, laughs. It is exactly the outcome she expected. An invisible shield completely covers Sakura's body, neutralizing all magical and physical attacks. Eso brags and enjoys it, while Sakura only sighs because level 22, even with that protection, is not for high-level dungeons. Eso admits honestly that she is taking risks for money. Moving closer, she jokes that the shield lets her touch Sakura as much as she wants because she feels nothing anyway. The atmosphere lightens considerably. She says plainly she is looking for rare items and gold in challenging dungeons. Sakura is shocked because he did not expect such pragmatism. Despite his surprise, he respects her choice. When she says she is going to the next floor, he decides to go with her. Sakura escorts Eso to the 21st floor. Something inside him tightens, and a growing sense of anxiety does not let go. Despite knowing she's invulnerable, he still worries something will go wrong again. Eso's voice cuts through his thoughts, suddenly calling his name urgently. As he suspected, something bad happened. On the 21st floor, level 85 venomous lizards surrounded her. She collapses, saying her body is paralyzed and her vision is starting to blur. The situation is critical, and despite her immunity to damage, the poison still took effect. Sakura soon realizes that Eso's abilities do not protect against things like poisoning or other negative status effects. Without hesitation, he instantly destroys all the enemies with magic and gains 2 levels. Eso lies there, powerless. Impressed, she praises his strength with wonder and respect while Sakura gives her a healing herb because she cannot even lift her hand. So he feeds her himself by putting the grass right into her mouth. Eso starts chewing and even asks for mayonnaise. Sakura watches and can't help thinking she is feeding a pet. Eso thanks Sakura for her help, but insists on continuing to explore high-level dungeons because Eso needs to earn a lot of money. Sakura suggests Eso train first in safer places, but Eso refuses outright. Smiling, she admits having huge debts and needing to settle them quickly. Eso says her parents died, leaving behind large debts. She has since lived with her older sister, who took full responsibility and even tried to support Eso's schooling. Despite money troubles, the sister always put Eso's needs before her own, a sign of her kindness, caring, and selflessness. Eso explains he wants to earn money for 2 reasons: to pay off his parents' debts and to give them peace where they are now. Wanting to give her sister some happiness and rest, she opens her heart to Sakura, smiles through her emotions and says goodbye, determined to move forward. Suddenly, Sakura takes her hand, sensing something strange. Both stare ahead, sensing an approaching threat. Eso goes from emotional to focused in an instant. Her face turns serious, and she is ready for the next challenge. Seeing her determination, Sakura offers to go through the dungeon together and help her level up. Eso is surprised, but gently touches his hand, which gives her confidence. Sakura is still a bit embarrassed by her impulse and even apologizes for offering help. Eso thanks her sincerely and says he will never forget it. She smiles cheerfully and even jokes that she might not have to walk, that they should carry her instead. Sakura thinks his old self would never have done that. He wonders why he chose to help her. Perhaps because of her stubbornness and the steady light in her eyes that never fades through hard times. He convinces himself that leaving her alone would be dangerous, and besides, being alone is very sad. Eso, excited, says it feels like having a little brother. Sakura thinks she is actually more like an older sister, just very irresponsible. Eso smiles and admits he feels very safe because Sakura is a level 20,000 player. The words hit him like a thunderbolt, and he can't believe she could have known. Sakura asks how she knows his level. Eso, with a slight smile, admits she saw it by chance when she was falling and grabbed hold of him. She apologizes, then with a sparkle in her eyes says she was impressed, and now also wants to reach 20,000. Sakura, slightly embarrassed, admits he was careless. That same childhood shame returned. Hearing that the usual maximum level is only 99, Eso is stunned. Sakura admits in a heavy voice that he exceeded that limit. It is rare, but she has seen everything, so she asks to keep it secret. Eso cannot believe what he heard. Meanwhile, on the 22nd floor of the Blue Cave, a new threat appears. A level 77 goblin mage preparing a magical attack. The goblin fires orbs, but Sakura easily blocks them. He instantly analyzes the enemy, and it turns out this is his only attack. Sakura asks if Eso wants to try to win by herself. Eso hesitates but then agrees and eagerly asks for a chance. Sakura says she will intervene only if necessary. An hour into the fight, Eso still fights doggedly, showing incredible persistence. In the end, she wins and celebrates with a joyful leap, and Sakura, surprised, thinks that although her attack is weak, her immunity to damage lets her win long fights, and he thinks to himself that she is a good girl. Eso thanks him sincerely, saying she was able to fight only because of his support, since before she only knew how to run and hide. She picks up the weapon the goblin dropped, smiles at the new gear, and says it fits her perfectly. Armed with a new weapon, she pushes forward confidently, learns light magic on the 25th floor, and by the 30th reaches level 48, gaining new skills and faster experience growth. As they move deeper, Eso and Sakura collect rare items: dragon armor, Exodia artifacts, and X-machines. They do not know the exact purpose of these items, but Sakura suggests selling them because the proceeds would be substantial. Eso is happy, agrees to keep the treasures, and for the first time quietly hopes this will finally let her pay off her debts. On the 35th floor, she faces poisonous lizards again. At first, fear takes hold. Memories of a past defeat still fresh, but determination sparks in her eyes. On reaching level 60, she unlocks a magic skill that clears toxins, and now she goes into battle without fear of the poison that once paralyzed her. On the 39th floor at level 67, Eso confronts two dragons. Trembling but not backing down, she grips her weapon and stands firm. Remembering something she carries, maybe a token of courage or a gift from Sakura, she steps forward despite the fear in her heart. With a precise strike, she hits one dragon's weak spot and instantly disables it, immediately finishing the second, her level rising by 2 points, and a new danger waits ahead. But she is ready, confident, strong, invincible. Determined, Eso lunges forward and buries his axe in the monster without hesitation. A thought echoes in her head, and this time she won't let herself be swallowed again. Attacking without fear, she crushes the enemy with one precise, powerful strike. After defeating the monster, Eso reaches level 71 and learns a new skill, magical identification. Sakura watches her progress with surprise and is sure that she will become an amazing player. Eso shows him the stats and brags about a new skill. Magical identification, she explains, lets you learn more about monsters and items. Sakura is impressed by its practicality. Excited, Eso says she wants to test it in battle right away and tries to use the skill on her axe. The discovered information is very limited. The skill is still only at level 1. She tries to identify other items, but the functions of the objects remain unclear. Sakura reassures her that there's still more to come. They decide to examine the next object on the floor. Reaching the 40th floor, they both freeze before an incredible view, but a cold that bites to the bone surrounds them. Sakura suspects this is the dungeon's deepest level. The trap springs, and metal grates drop around them with a dull thud. Neither has time to react. Scanning the room, Sakura spots something odd and alerts Eso. A map lies on the floor. Before they can examine it, a huge black cat appears in the center of the hall, the floor's boss, a dark liger. Its level is unknown and its stare makes hearts tremble. Sakura is nervous, but Eso remains calm. She asks Miki to use the magical identification skill to find the beast's weakness. Miki readily agrees and quickly determines that the dark liger is highly vulnerable to holy light magic. Hearing this, Sakura takes a fighting stance and says she will take the blow. Eso gets ready to support him. The surface begins to glow with a blinding light, and the liger roars in alarm as it senses danger. Eso and Miki shield themselves from the bright flash, while Sakura stands motionless, ready to act. Tension is rising, and everything shows the final clash is at hand. The magic seal makes Eso and Miki realize they must now fight only physically. There is no other choice. There will be no magic, only muscle strength against the dark liger. They exchange a determined look as the beast lunges at them. Clearly, the clash will be face-to-face with no room to retreat. Eso steps forward confidently and tells Sakura not to intervene. Armed, Sakura positions herself between the monster and the group, determined to fight to the end. The liger's attack is sudden and brutal, but Eso does not back down an inch. Anxious, Sakura watches, remembering her defenses and realizing the floor boss is much more dangerous than anything they have seen. An unexpected strike knocks him off his feet, and it becomes clear that the seal blocks not only magic, but also physical abilities. Aso throws her against the wall with a dark wave, and Mickey cries her name in desperation. Tension rises, and it's far more dangerous than they expected. The real threat is in every move. Dark energy completely consumes Iso. Unable to act, Aso pretends to be confident, but Mickey sees she is actually at her limit. A dire situation. Iso is powerless against the boss's dark power, and Mickey races to save her as time runs out. Iso shouts at her to stay back, but it is already too late. The dark liger watches ominously, ready for the next strike. A blow of terrible force throws her against a crystal wall. Mickey cries out in despair as he watches her fall, lost in the darkness. Tension peaks as she faces the most dangerous boss alone. Aso wakes in a strange crystal space and tries to figure out where she is. A sudden thought hits her. The liger has swallowed her or moved her into another dimension. She notices a glow on the wall and moves toward it. Surprised, she sees Sakura's reflection on the other side. Calling to him loudly, she is sure he hears her. Determined, she decides she must get out first. She lands a direct hit on the crystal, but it proves exceptionally tough. Even at the limits of her strength, she cannot break it. Her eyes hold a spark, but the crystal will not last. She keeps striking without losing determination. Meanwhile, Mickey stares at the dark liger with a fiery gaze and prepares for the battle. Convinced Sakura is dead, Mickey charges the dark liger with a spear in hand, calling out that it will not take long. The decisive duel begins. Mickey lands a direct hit, but the shockwave knocks her back. Falling to the ground, she cries out in pain and gasps from the blow. Despite the injury, her gaze stays determined, and she is ready to get up and keep fighting. Mickey notices her weapon has recoiled, and getting up, she sees the armor she found earlier, Exortia, among the debris. And as she approaches, she hears a click in the mechanism. The armor activates before her eyes. A cloud of smoke suddenly engulfs everything, making Mickey freeze in surprise. The dark liger backs away and the ground ahead begins to warp, as if sensing something powerful. A silhouette emerges from the fog, and Mickey strains to see until he recognizes it as Gargantua. The true purpose of the mysterious armor has finally been revealed. It is a metal combat creature. Mickey smiles in relief, and Eso behind the crystal wall realizes that Gargantua is their trump card. The creature's presence gives them hope. Gargantua presses forward bravely. The monster attacks, but its blows are useless. Gargantua's metal hand grabs the beast and squeezes it easily. Eso and Mickey are amazed by its power. The real battle begins. The liger is hurled against the crystal wall, then disappears as if dissolving into the air. Suddenly, Gargantua vanishes too. Eso barely has time to react as the crystal beside her begins to open on its own. In the deep silence, she stares at the cracked walls, not knowing what will happen next. Beside her, Mickey is still recovering. She refuses to give up and activates another item, Exortia, again. This time, nothing happens. An ordinary lighter is all that remains in her hands. Disappointed, she barely holds back her emotions, and the monster watches silently, as if it does not understand either. Lighting the fire summons a magic circle. From the flames rises a towering energy being, glowing, majestic, and brimming with power. Mickey stood stunned, and could not believe a true giant of pure energy was standing before her, and the artifact's power had finally revealed itself in full. 3 hours earlier, on the 38th floor, Eso hands Mickey something and says it will be a surprise. As Mickey watches with curiosity, Eso makes a magic gesture and disappears right before her eyes. Mickey looks around in confusion, calls Sakura, and doesn't know where he just went. Suddenly, Iso appears behind her, making the girl flinch and revealing a new teleportation ability. He explains that he learned teleportation magic and leveled up, though it is still only level 1. Magic drains a lot of mana and causes nausea, but Iso is confident he will soon get used to it and be able to use it more often. Sakura smiles, moved by his enthusiasm. The boy is a little shy but admits he has long wanted a new ability. The scene shifts. Eso watches Gargantua closely. The metal giant stands silently, waiting for a command. Iso asks him to destroy the space and help him get away, but Gargantua replies hoarsely that it's impossible. He explains that the place is made of a special crystal that repairs itself even after damage. Eso is silent, but already thinking of a new plan. Iso asks if Gargantua can use magic. Gargantua says no, but adds an important detail. It acts as a conduit for spells, storing up to 3 and activating them later. Each spell can be used only once, then must be recharged, and Iso realizes this opens new possibilities. The boy asks if forbidden magic affects him. Gargantua says he cannot heal or bring people back to life, but is otherwise very useful. Iso says confidently it's time to break out. Meanwhile, Sakura watches from a distance, visibly moved and sighs in relief. He confronts a creature called Exortia, which proudly claims to be a fiery spirit risen from hell. Instead of admiring it, Sakura scowls and says he didn't like it. Exortia is stunned. Sakura criticizes his pompous style, saying he behaves like an overly emotional high school senior. Exortia theatrically excuses himself, loudly claiming he is a chaotic being from hell, until Gargantua interrupts him. The Iron Giant says in a cold voice, "Better ask for what you want." Sakura pleads with Exortia to resurrect Iso, who was swallowed by a creature. Exortia says she cannot grant the wish, but reveals that Iso is alive and trapped in a dimensional space. Sakura refuses to give up. Her only goal is to save him no matter what. Exortia pauses, takes in her words, and explains that now is not the time to fulfill this request. Meanwhile, in Gargantua, a first-level teleportation spell suddenly activates, surprising everyone present with its appearance. Sakura tries to speak while watching Exortia's reaction. The air is tense. Iso orders Gargantua, who immediately summons 10th-level ice magic. A crystal rises from the ground and seals the enemy with a single strike. Sakura is stunned, and Iso brazenly reminds everyone he had warned about his power. Sakura is unharmed and back beside Iso, sitting on Gargantua's shoulder and smiling contentedly while Iso thanks himself for the success. Exortia watches from afar, impressed that Sakura was willing to spend a precious wish to save someone, and Iso asks what he meant by saying it's not time yet. Exortia says it is pointless to use a wish on him and reminds that she still has a chance to wish for something truly important. Then he points at this dark liger and reminds them that she promised to defeat him herself. Sakura is surprised but accepts the challenge. After defeating Liger, she instantly raises her level by 28 points and reaches level 99. Amazed by the result, a new object appears in her hands. The Dark Sphere, a mysterious and powerful artifact. Looking at the Dark Sphere, Sakura asks what it is. Iso confirms it dropped from the monster and does not know its purpose but feels its power. Exortia reminds you it's time to make a wish. A slightly comic scene has both heroes apologizing for the delay, amazed that the spirits had waited so long. Suddenly, Sakura shocks everyone by saying she doesn't want anything. Even with debts and hardship, she asks for nothing. Iso is stunned and asks again if she is serious. Her face is full of confidence. Laughing, Exortia says he respects her character and tells her she can call on him again if needed. Sakura thanks for the help but says she will go on alone, determined to finish the dungeon. Iso downplays his contribution, but Sakura highlights how much he did. The scene moves to the rank G Blue Cave dungeon, where Iso is anxious and searching for her. Finally, Sakura and Iso meet after the victory, celebrating with smiles and high fives. They are joyful and relieved. Sakura is already imagining how much money she will get from selling the Dark Sphere, but Iso suggests eating first, and together with Gargantua, they leave the dungeon calm as victors. 3 girls stand outside the dungeon center, talking about the latest news. One of them is stunned. It is about 100 million yen. Another confirms this is a preliminary estimate, since the dungeon crystals have become a potential source of energy for the whole world. The third asks suspiciously if they knew about it before. The dark-haired girl explains that a magical reading shows the black sphere has energy hundreds of millions of times greater than normal. Although the center will determine the exact price, the expert says the artifact is extremely valuable. While she speaks, one of the girls nods, sounding unsure and answering only, yes. The expert says they will keep the sphere for a few days for inspection. Once the price is set, we will contact the owner to finalize the deal. At the same time, she officially confirms that the group cleared an E-class dungeon known as the Blue Cave. She congratulates them on their first official victory, adding a ceremonial note. He then notes that after the Red Shadow Dungeon incident, everyone who clears unregistered zones gets a reward, but the 30 million yen from last time will not be offered this time. They are promised 3 million yen for a Class G dungeon. The question is how they want to divide the amount. One of the guys suggests giving everything to Iso. Sakura tries to object. Iso cuts him off, insisting she was the one who went through the dungeons and deserves the reward. The appraiser watches the argument in silence. Sakura replies firmly that they both deserve the reward. She suggests splitting the money evenly. Eso objects, but he cuts her off, saying she'll be angry if he doesn't agree. Iso is a little surprised, but gives in. Sakura quietly thinks he even likes it when she's angry. Walking away with the money, Sakura smiles at the thought of her sister's surprise. Eso, standing next to Gargantua, urges them to think carefully before selling the artifact. The group approaches the building ahead but notices that Gargantua is not following them. In reply, he says the door is too narrow for him and he cannot enter. The giant says his mission is complete and he will stay here to rot in place. Sakura feels awkward and anxious at such a statement. To ease the tension, Iso gives Gargantua a new mission to watch over him while he sleeps, since monsters often bother him at night. Smiling slightly, he asks if the robot will agree. With dignity, Gargantua replies that it will be his honor to serve Lord Sakura in that way. Sakura apologizes for not thinking of him sooner and worries about getting the giant through the door, but Iso shows a magic pouch where he can fit comfortably. Moved, Sakura looks at them and says she definitely won't sell Gargantua after this. Iso smiles and confirms it's his forever. At that moment, a strange creature appears before them. Surprised by Sakura's words, the creature says it has already chosen its wish. An excited monster asks her to voice his greediest desire, but Sakura just smiles and wants him to be her friend. She thinks aloud. Sometimes people just need friendship, like the boy from school who flirted with her. She looks straight at the creature, calls him Exodia, says he looks bored, and again offers to be friends. The monster is confused and angry. Not being feared is new to him. He mumbles about friendship, gets annoyed when called a girl, and demands respect while Sakura replies calmly. She urges him to say out loud that we're friends. The creature gets flustered and behaves like a shy teenager. Sakura says her name seriously to set the stage for his words. At last, the monster says, "Iso is my friend," and dissolves into a ball of smoke. Iso says her wish has been granted. It was a small wish, but the monster trusted her to keep the artifacts. Sakura asks about their plans, sees how close they have become, and smiles. They are talking by the sea when a young man appears and challenges someone to a duel. Iso seems to recognize the situation and freezes in indecision. Sakura doesn't know what's going on. Eso tries to brush it off, but admits that if it were the Tsuchikura brothers, he would refuse. Sakura is interested in PvP and praises his strength. Iso hesitates, saying the challenge came from a friend, so the fight feels pointless to him and he does not care about the outcome. Sakura watches him in silence as the tension between them grows. Their eyes meet and the mood shifts. Eso notices something in her eyes and is surprised, recalling that Sakura avoided his gaze at first. She answers calmly, "Not everything has to matter, but friends should not look away." Now they look into each other's souls, and a sincere closeness begins between them. Sakura and Iso lock eyes in a tense silence, but he looks away, sighing awkwardly. Sakura smiles with a triumphant gleam in her eyes and says she won. Iso awkwardly waves it off, saying it was only because they were standing so close. Blushing, Sakura hides her face with her hands, trying to hold back her emotions. Iso, though upset, admits defeat for the first time. He speaks to her gently, showing how much their bond has grown stronger. Iso smiles warmly and thanks her. Sakura laughs and blushes, saying she should be the one to thank. One last wave, and they part feeling warmth and gratitude in their hearts. Iso, remembering what happened, decides not to avoid his friends anymore, and picks up his phone to call Kamishiro Sanichi, breaking the silence between them. The scene shifts to Sanichi fighting a brutal battle in the middle of an ice field as a roaring monster lunges at him, shattering the ice around him. Tension rises instantly as real danger arrives. Kamishiro destroys the floor boss with a powerful strike, drawing surprise and admiration from the people around him. And one of the girls says she has not seen him this serious in a long time and asks what happened. Smiling, Komashiro says he is simply very excited. His phone shows a message from Iso. "It's all good. We'll fight." That message fired him up. Sleepy Iso opens the door and meets Kamishiro, who cheerfully says it's already noon. Kamishiro invites him to the family mine without long explanations. Taken aback, Iso asks how he knew where he lived. Kamishiro dodges the question, hinting that someone told him. Iso immediately suspects Maria is behind it. They end up in an open field preparing for a duel. Iso shows a special item, a giant shell that can take 3 hits and turns from red to black after each hit. The rules are simple. Whoever breaks the shell first loses. Kamishiro confirms the duel lets them fight at full strength, but still asks if Iso is truly ready. Iso admits that Kamishiro could end the fight instantly, but he still wants to go through it. For him, it's more than a fight. It's a way to face his past and meet friends in person. Kamishiro watches silently, but his eyes show sincerity, and he sees that Iso has changed. Iso is surprised by those words. Kamishiro jokes that the change is because of love, but Iso quickly dismisses the idea and angrily calls it nonsense. Smiling, Kamishiro stops taunting, draws his sword, and says it's time to start. Iso firmly agrees that this duel between friends means more to him than a simple fight. He fixes a determined look on Kamishiro and says out loud that he will win, while Kamishiro watches calmly as the ground beneath them suddenly freezes over. Ice spreads quickly, like simple cold magic, but Iso senses something else in it, something deeper he cannot understand. Kamishiro warns he will show no mercy, and Iso activates level 1 teleportation and darts forward to catch his companion off guard. Unstable magic works against him. His movements falter, and he immediately finds himself in an awkward position. Kamishiro has already taken a hit, but admits that Iso, known as Sakura, is not someone to underestimate. And meanwhile, Iso prepares for a second throw. He unleashes a powerful strike that tears the ground, and Kamishiro watches, stunned by the attack's power and the seriousness of the intent. Icy spikes suddenly rise from the ground, forcing Iso to step back instantly, bewildered and unsure where the magic came from. From shards of ice, Kamishiro appears, swift, precise, and ready to strike. Iso cannot react in time. Steadying himself, he focuses despite the fast pace. Kamishiro suddenly disappears from sight. Iso instantly senses a threat from behind. It is too late. A direct blow to the back. Kamishiro seized the opening. Iso is shocked and realizes he walked into a carefully planned trap. He doesn't give up. Surprised but quick thinking, he scans the situation, dodges, and prepares a counterattack. This is his chance to even the odds. Focusing intently, Iso reads every move Kamishiro makes and sees the perfect moment to respond. Instantly activates the counterattack skill and tries to get behind. Kamishiro just clicks his tongue softly. He understood everything. Tension reaches its peak. Kamishiro uses his teleportation and suddenly appears behind Iso. There you are. Before Iso can react, a direct blow to the chest. The defensive item absorbs the attack and records the first damage. Kamishiro says confidently, "First strike," and the match heats up as the score begins to change. Iso realizes that Kamishiro intentionally forced him to use teleportation from the start to lure him into a trap. Iso analyzes how ice magic appeared with no warning, everything happening instantly as if the spells activated on their own. Curious, Iso asks where Kamishiro cast the spell. Kamishiro admits it, and Iso sees the trick. It's unfair, but Iso already has 4 unique skills. Kamishiro reveals the first 3 abilities: ice magic, reduced experience needed to level up, and a magic field. Iso looks confused as she tries to understand how the system works. Kamishiro explains that a field operates within a zone, and that zone boosts the user. In his case, it expands his magical domain. The entire surrounding space is already his territory. Iso is stunned as dozens of magic circles form around him. He has no time to react and realizes the situation has suddenly turned against him. A powerful burst of ice magic sweeps the field. Iso, stunned, realizes this is not a normal attack. This is Ice Magic X. He teleports to escape, but Kamishiro already saw it coming. Smiling, he says Iso is too simple and predictable. Kamishiro watches confidently as another spell hits its mark. He smiles. Got it. Like in chess, he declares checkmate. Iso's ring cracks, its 3 strikes used up. The duel is over. Kamishiro read every move perfectly. After class, Iso is surrounded by 4 classmates, and one of them insists Iso call them by name. No one has done that since the start of high school, she complains, and it's time to change this tradition. Despite his hesitation, Iso is forced to call Renge by name, while all the girls urge him too enthusiastically. Hearing her name, Renge turns bright red and literally lets off steam from her ears, and even the other girls did not expect that reaction. Iso apologizes immediately, but he still gets reprimanded for being overly sincere. Everything slides into chaos, with jokes, shouting, and surprise, and Iso is left confused, trying to understand what he did wrong. Since returning to the country, Maria has been constantly upset. Her bodyguard, Maya, notices that the young woman misses her always busy parents. Sitting at her books and feeling down, Maria holds a photo and sadly admits she misses Makoto very much. This is the real reason for her sadness. Maya watches quietly, thinking how she could help the young woman in a moment like that. Emotional. Maria remembers her promise to meet Makoto when he became worthy, but now she admits she chased him and wants to become worthy herself. Touched, Maya watches the determined Maria, who copes with her sadness by watching fight videos, captivated and sincere, and Maya even drops a tray, moved by Maria's sincerity. Surrounded by classmates eagerly asking for help with school, Sanichi hears them praise him as a genius, the smart one, and a calm leader. He replies with his usual calm, polite, flawless smile. Behind that mask is a hidden tension. It's only a habit to smile while hiding what you really feel. Taught from childhood to never stop and keep trying no matter where he is, he holds this principle and believes his efforts will let him achieve anything. He studies, practices kendo, and competes in national tournaments. Persistence is for him not only a path, but an emotional refuge. At the next tournament, Sanichi amazes the crowd as a freshman who wins easily, but despite the applause, he feels empty. I trained to be strong and happy. Now even wins and recognition no longer bring joy. It feels like all of this has lost its meaning. Wandering alone, he admits he has long restrained his power just to keep the fight going, and everything feels dull, even training. People only praise him and put him on a pedestal as if he is not human. Tired of easy victories, Sanichi wants a real fight that is tough, risky, and alive. Sword clenched in his hand, he watches the empty field as his hunger for battle grows, and in the next moment a real clash begins. The opponent dodges the crushing blow, making it clear Sanichi faces a real challenge this time. Even with new powers like endless level-ups and multiplied experience, Sakura laughs in battle. This surprises Kamishiro, who first thought him predictable. The boy's emotions change everything. Kamishiro reacts instantly, and both fighters collide in a lightning-fast exchange of blows. Sakura tries a direct strike, but is caught in a new wave of magic circles. Kamishiro activates ice magic again from above. Using teleportation, Sakura appears above Kamishiro and delivers a powerful strike from above. Kamishiro tries to respond with magic from a distance, but finds his magical field does not activate. During practice, a student named Kido comes up to Kamishiro, calls him a genius to provoke him, and challenges him. By calling himself a fellow freshman, Kido hints that Kamishiro's loneliness is odd, and from his tone, it is an invitation to a duel. Kido is irritated by Kamishiro's cold, distant behavior and believes he is not taking the match seriously. Kamishiro stays calm and replies coldly that one strike will be enough for him to win. Tension between the boys builds, but one girl quickly steps in and stops them before a real fight starts. She sternly reprimands Cheg Armin, Sankaito, and Kamishiro, reminding them that such pranks could cause problems for all first-year students. Kaido taunts with a smile, saying the man is only angry because he cannot beat Kamishiro, and proposes they settle it like men with swords. Half joking, she challenges everyone at once to a 3-against-1 fight. Staring Kamishiro straight in the eye, the girl says she is not afraid of rumors about his genius and will make him do his best. Surrounded by curious looks, she smiles confidently and says that only a true genius cannot be defeated. She warns him not to think she is weak because she can break his defenses. Sakura focuses while preparing her magic, her gaze steady and fully concentrated, poised for a breakthrough. Kamishiro watches closely and respectfully notes that making a magic circle in a specific spot is not an easy task. Sakura activates the magic circle and uses first-level teleportation precisely, confidently, and with complete control. Surprised, Kamishiro watches her perform when he is suddenly hit by a spell she launched from behind via teleportation. Deeply impressed, he acknowledges how much she has grown. Sakura's strategy is precise and her magic is surprisingly effective. The girl confidently activates a 10th level lightning spell. Kamishiro is stunned by her power, though he knows he faces a powerful opponent. Now he knows for sure that in front of him is not just a talented student, but a genuine combat monster with incredible potential. Kamishiro smiles with excitement as he stands in the center of a magical field surrounded by ice spells. The seriousness of the fight does not intimidate him, and he welcomes the thrill. To increase attack accuracy, Kamishiro narrows the magic field so every strike is precise and deadly. Ice blades shoot up, leaving Sakura no time to think while Kamishiro presses aggressively and forces her to retreat. Despite powerful combinations and mastery of ice magic, Sakura holds her ground, watching impressed but remaining confident. She reveals her trump card, 10th level cloning magic. The battlefield suddenly fills with her phantoms. Amid the chaos of the new attack, she reminds him that he said he only had 4 skills. Kamishiro muddies the trail by combining teleportation with ice, but Sakura carefully counts each of his moves. Kamishiro realizes with unease that he revealed more than he should have, and the initiative shifts to Sakura as her cunning begins to overpower her opponent's logic. At the decisive moment, Sakura delivers a precise strike that ends the battle. Despite Kamishiro's brilliance, she wins with strength and an unexpected strategy, a victory for a true monster. After the fight, Kamishiro invites Sakura to his home where a generously set table greets them, and both are surprised by the variety of dishes. Kamishiro explains he told Kuyo's maid the guest was coming, so she prepared the refreshments. A time of rest and warmth follows. After the duel, the air is filled with mutual respect. Sakura praises the food with delight, her eyes showing genuine satisfaction. Kujo watches with a cold smile, then snaps that if they don't like it, they can leave, catching the guests off guard. Sakura is stunned by the maid's harsh tone, which breaks her carefree mood and leaves her briefly speechless. At the table, Sakura thanks them for the meal, but sadly remembers her failure. Kamishiro tries to calm her, saying that even with the level gap, it was hard for him. Another man admits Sakurina's strategy was smart, because he thought she was just relying on stats, and the laughter and jokes ease the mood so even Kujo begins to take her seriously. After the meal, Kamishiro suddenly gets serious and officially asks Sakura to join Senkuno Goren's group. His words catch her off guard. She cannot answer right away. The weight of the decision hangs in the silence at the table. Kamishiro watches her silently, emphasizing how important the offer is. Sakura politely declines. She explains that a life of taking orders is not for her. Always knowing what to do is boring. Her answer surprises but also amuses Kamishiro. He smiles, acknowledging her unpredictability. Sakura immediately changes the subject and says she has a question too. During their talk, Sakura asks Kamishiro why he really needs to clear the A-class dungeon, her tone calm and her eyes attentive. Kamishiro answers a question with another question. What does a dungeon mean to you? A year has passed since they appeared, he notes, but despite advances in research on monsters and trophies, much still remains out of reach for humans, even for the chosen. Mika, Mickey's sister, rushes into the room beaming, proudly showing a photo on her phone and calling her sister the cutest creature in the universe. A classmate jokingly asks why she didn't call instead of scrolling through photos. Mika freezes, realizing she could have made a video call. Panicking, she checks her phone and sees there is no signal. To her shock, she learns that Mickey is now in the dungeon. When Mika hears her sister was in the dungeon with a guy and even completed a C-rank quest, she flies into a rage. Screaming that she will force Sakura to eat her own eyes, a girl is calmed by a classmate who urges her to pull herself together. Her friend agrees that Mika's theory about the dungeons makes sense and immediately goes from angry to excited. Inspired and energetic, she starts talking about how everything is possible today, showing complete confidence. Soon, they head to the team's base. Mika shows a vibration feedback device she adapted for the dungeons. A plaque identifies her as a researcher at the Dungeon Center. As the team studies the entrance to the new dungeon, questions hang in the air about what the structure is, why it exists, and who built it. The mystery of the structure is drawing more interest. Questions are increasing while answers remain hidden. The atmosphere is growing tense. Kamishiro says he wants to understand the nature of the dungeons and believes the answers are in an A-rank dungeon. Sakura listens quietly and reflects. Thanks to the dungeons, she found friends she never imagined, and now she believes it is important to keep moving forward with her own faith. Kamishiro laughs and says Sakura has changed a lot. She responds with interest and wonders what will happen next. Kamishiro objects and says the player will inevitably meet others. That's part of growing up. Eventually, even loneliness wears thin because connections give life meaning. The scene closes on new faces and allies. Kamishiro is sure Sakura will meet many more people on this path. She admits that new acquaintances will bring changes for him too. Kamishiro smiles quietly, admitting that being in a crowd is a little annoying, but he no longer dismisses the idea completely. Sakura smiles and says she looks forward to what comes next. In the dungeon corridors, a new mysterious figure appears. Moving through bodies, he summons a magic circle with a cold, determined stare. Tension mounts as his arrival brings danger. People on the streets are talking about the strongest female player who cleared the 6th-level dungeon. People say she needed no protection. Only her strength and unbreakable will pushed her forward. Beside her stood a monster that struck fear into even the bravest. Despite frightening rumors, the real shock is how calm and kind she is, contradicting everything said about her and casting doubt on the truth of the legends. On the 14th floor of a 6th-rank dungeon, a girl desperately searches for the treat she was meant to enjoy as a reward. She is upset because she lost what she had been looking forward to. Monster companion Exortia coldly dismisses crying over a burger as not serious. A furious glare lands on him, and he insists he didn't eat anything. The girl points to his perfectly groomed nails, showing she suspects him. The argument continues. She accuses Exortia of taking the food while she slept because there was no one else. He denies everything and even jokes that he does not wear fake claws. Still, she dramatically calls him a liar, declares she is leaving him for good, and walks away with her head held high while he is left stunned. She reaches the 15th floor, the deepest point she's ever descended to, where thick fog covers everything. She calls Exortia but gets no answer. She's scared but stays composed. Walking on, she tries to seem indifferent, but Exortia's loneliness is overwhelming. Suddenly, tentacles surge from the fog, grab her and lift her into the air as she screams, completely helpless. From the water rises the boss of this floor, Lark, a giant slime creature with a terrifying maw. Recommended level for the fight is unknown. This is very dangerous. Poisoned fog makes the girl lose consciousness. Struggling to stay awake, she considers using detox magic. Just as the monster attacks again, Exortia appears and pierces it with a precise strike. She calls his name with relief and surprise, while Exortia, consumed by fury, rushes to attack. Shooting through the water, it rips the enemy's tentacles and sends the enemy screaming in pain. With a mighty roar, Exortia strikes, causing an explosion that rips the monster to pieces. Sakura calls his name, worried, but he answers dismissively that he is fine and does not need help, while she still feels the threat has not passed, seeing the boss come back to life. Sakura darts forward without hesitation, blocks the tentacles with its shield and prepares for a decisive counterattack. Unleashes level 10 light magic, forming a powerful magical circle. Her swift movements catch the monster off guard. Narrowing her eyes, she readies a direct blow. The monster watches in confusion, not realizing what awaits it. After the battle, Sakura discovers a rare artifact. This memory mirror lets you see past events at the spot where you activate it. Intrigued, she immediately activates it in the room where they were resting. Exortia panics, realizing she is about to learn something. He decides to confess his secret. He was once a creature created to grant wishes, disappear, and be reborn without memory. After meeting Iso, he no longer felt like a tool, but like a friend, and thanks to her, he found a purpose in life. Iso cuts him off, already staring at the mirror of memory in awe, not waiting for the speech to finish. In the mirror, she sees a monster attacking, but Exortia appears and heroically defends the place, even returning a lost burger. Iso rejoices, admiring the friend's heroism. The joy fades fast when she sees Exortia has eaten her burger. He tries to deny it, but fails. She says with a disappointed look that she is more hurt by the lie than by losing the burger, because trust is sacred to her. Exortia makes excuses, saying the mirror is wrong, but his guilt is obvious. He admits he only wanted to try what she likes. Smiling, she says that next time they'll eat burgers together. Tension eases, and their friendship becomes even stronger. When Iso asks what he wanted to tell her, Exortia hesitates at first and changes the subject. Unable to meet her gaze, he confesses he will never grant her wish. Shocked, she sees him immediately suggest they go to the gate. His action suggests deeper feelings. Iso is happy after clearing another dungeon and wants to tell Sakura, but she hesitates when she sees his name on her phone. Her face flushes and Exortia notices. He says it's just a name and asks why she is embarrassed. Her face reveals more than she admits. Iso admits he doesn't know why, but he feels something strange when he talks to Sakura. Exortia laughs and puts YOLO on the screen, making Sakura mutter in annoyance. Gathering her courage, Sakura types a simple hello. Sakura answers instantly. Iso smiles awkwardly, and Exortia watches quietly, realizing this is more than friendship. April arrives. Iso chatters happily on the phone, smiling as if the year had flown by. Exortia watches from afar with her usual smirk. A year has passed since the dungeons appeared. As Sakura looks over the city, she thinks about how much has changed. At the end, she asks you to support the channel, because creating these stories takes a lot of effort. See you in the next video.